but I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1,
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Wednesday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And of course, what are those things, you may wonder? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. What's going on, guys? We got a doozy for you tonight because, of course, right, the wide world, the universe at large is a crazy place, that's for damn sure. And there's some stories out there. There's some mythologies. There's some interesting tidbits regarding, let's say celestial bodies close to Earth. And I think that's what we should talk about tonight, because why the hell not? I found this out recently, and it's fascinating. They say there's a curse on Mars. There's a curse. They say there's some sort of curse, and we'll get into that and explain exactly what that means and talk about if that's even possible as we go tonight. But I thought it was just a fascinating tidbit of Mars history, because, of course, it is part of our history with Mars as human beings, right? And as we know, right, Elon Musk and all that, and Mars and his fascination with the red planet, and mine as well, by the way. I'm very fascinated with the way Mars, how this may or may not shake out, trying to get people off planet onto, just another rocky sphere out there. I mean, and pretty exciting as far as humanity goes. But what that means for, I don't know, let's say the future remains up in the air, right? Who knows? It could be, I don't want to curse it and say it could be a catastrophic thing, right? So I won't say that, but it just remains to be seen, because we'll get into why they think there's a curse on Mars and the rest of that. But before we do all that, you guys know the drill. This is a conversation. We're going to talk about, like I said, Mars and the curse and some other things. But also, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as we go tonight, because it is a two-way conversation. Like I said, my job is to bring something, let's say, mildly compelling at the very least. And then it's our job to parse it and think about it and try and we'll come up with ideas why this may be the case or not. And that's okay, because that's what a conversation is about. This is not a admission of truth, or I'm not an arbiter of truth. This is nothing but a conversation. So please treat it that way. This is that's what we do. That's what Troubled Minds is all about, considering all the angles here. So as you know, we are doing this live. We do it live to include you as part of that conversation, and we are streaming, of course, as part of that on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And of course, we are also broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. So there we go. I think that probably it sets us up and gets us in the spot we need to be. But yeah, let's do that. Let's put the thing and add the thing. And okay, so that's what's happening, right? So if you want to be part of the show tonight, you just pick up the phone, dial 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And you can find the Discord link at troubledminds.org. It's the official website, and it has the Discord link and the phone number. So if I do read the phone number too fast or you didn't catch it, just one-stop shop for everything, troubledminds.org, and you can find the phone number and the Discord link. Discord, of course, should be it's a chat client, it's a voice client, and it's completely free. It's a fantastic place to communicate and meet new people and hang out and all the rest of that. So yeah, there we go. I think that probably settles us in and gets us to where we need to be. A couple things as well, please. If you want to help the Fringe FM, go to fringe.fm/chat. You can join the Discord there and come say hi to the fine folks over there. It's the same program, just a different chat room. I'm watching the chat room in all the places. Speaking of that, what's up, SS Magician? I see you over there. How are you? Good evening. What's going on? Welcome to Troubled Minds. All right, so let's see. That's that. And then also the Fringe app. The easiest way and the best way to listen to Fringe is just to download the app from the App Store. You can find it at, of course, Android or Apple app stores. It's completely free. You download it. You smash the play button on the app at precisely 7 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Thursday. You'll get me. You'll get us. You'll get Troubled Minds. And that's what's going on. What's happening, guys? I hope you're all fine tonight, and it is Happy Wednesday, Hump Day. What's up, Mike? Hey, Mike, Hump Day. Yeah. I always get that joke from everybody. Hump Day. What day is it, Mike? Mike. Anyway, hey, all right. So this is what we're gonna do. We're talking about this curse, right? They say. Now this is a historical thing. This is not just like making up some voodoo, right? And like hip shooting voodoo. We're not doing that, right? There's actually some historical basis for the idea that there's a curse on Mars. All right. So before we get to that, of course, let's talk about the red planet a little bit, because as you know, it's been seriously in the zeitgeist like crazy. Like we talked about, we always talk about Elon Musk, because everybody's always talking about Elon Musk. But his fascination with the red planet is insatiable. He's going to get there, hell or high water, right? He's convinced, and he's convinced. Well, let's say half of humanity. The other half hates him because, well, he's not a Democrat. But what can you do, right? Well, hey, nobody's perfect. But here we go. This is from MSN.com. And this is a sort of a recap of, well, not just internet culture, of course, but his claims, Elon Musk's claims about the red planet. Now, check this out. According to MSN, Elon Musk promised to put humans on Mars by 2021. All right. Well, I'm not very good at math, but I think if that's the case, he's late. I think he's late. Okay, so there's that, right? So here we go. Let's read a little bit of this. In 2011, billionaire Elon Musk said he would put a man on Mars in 10 years. More than a decade later, the internet now wants answers. Well, that's because the internet's the scourge of humanity, if you know what I mean. Oh, wait, sorry, the internet is humanity in a digital form. And anyway, I digress. Musk has often talked about wanting to make humans a multi-planetary species and establish a colony on the red planet. SpaceX, his spacecraft engineering company, is already developing a prototype rocket that can carry cargo and crew to Mars and beyond. In 2011, during an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Musk was asked to give a time frame as to when humans could reach Mars. His best case scenario was 10 years, while a fallback worst case scenario was 15 to 20 years. The video has resurfaced online a little over 10 years later. A Twitter user shared a screenshot of Musk's statement, which has now gone viral. While one user wrote that Musk was doing pretty good so far, adding that normal business predictions were usually a year or two off, another asked him where he was on that mission. A third cut Musk some slack and blamed COVID-19 for the delay. In any case, case, one, the internet is, well, a cesspool. I mean, I think we all know that because humanity has become polarized, divided, flinging digital poo at each other, as it were, right? Which is again is why we've always done it in this format. Why I kind of don't like to talk about politics, just because it's all it's about, right? Everybody just wants to fling poo and talk about stupid stuff, and again, their narratives, not our narratives, and I don't like that. I just don't like that. So in any case, all right. So now we have the 10-year mark. We're past that. We're at 11 years since Elon Musk said best case 10 years people on Mars. All right, we're late. Okay. So now the question becomes, right, regarding that, do you think, well, something else is afoot? So best case, are we still within the realm of possibility of 15 to 20 years, and that's going to be okay, and maybe he's going to do this, maybe he's not? Or could this be maybe a delay from the curse? The Mars curse, the curse actually on Mars itself, right? Okay, now again, hear me out on this. So I got a few questions for you tonight as we go, okay? As you know me, I'm the questions guy, I'm not the answers guy. So there's a few things going on here, okay? Number one, do you believe a curse is real? Do you believe it can be real? We've heard of the curse of the King Tut, the curse of the Pharaoh, this type of stuff, right? A curse, just a regular curse. Do you think it's possible? All right, number one. Are curses real? All right. Number two. Now, why do you think, if that's the case, we're going to go down the rabbit hole a little bit here. Why do you think Mars might be cursed, right? In terms of, well, all the things. That's the question on my mind tonight. And number three, well, do you think at any point ever on Mars there was inhabitants, let's say? Because of course, right, my mind works in mysterious ways, even to myself. And I started thinking, okay, so if there was a curse on Mars, let's put ourselves in that headspace, right? This was my thinking. I was like, okay, so somebody at some point had to have cursed Mars, right? Or I guess we could talk about cosmic curses, or who knows, I don't know. Maybe bad luck. Do you guys believe in luck? Anyway, a lot of questions here, a lot of stuff to talk about and think about. But if there is a curse on Mars, how did it become a thing? So there you go. That's just a few questions as we start. More are going to develop as we go, because that's just the way a natural conversation flows and happens. So there you go. And one more time, if you want to be part of the show, love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Now, let's check this out. Now, this is exactly what we're talking about. This is from Universe Today. And I did learn this recently, like I said, this idea of a Mars curse, and I thought it was fascinating. So let's look at this. This is all the way back from 2016, okay, and from universetoday.com. Goes like this. Last week, again, in context from 2016, ESA's Shirapeli lander smashed onto the surface of Mars. Apparently, its descent thrusters shut off early, and instead of gently landing on the surface, it hit hard, going at 300 kilometers per hour and creating a 15-meter crater on the surface of Mars. All right. Fortunately, the orbiter part of ExoMars mission made it safely to Mars and will now start gathering data about the presence of methane in the Martian atmosphere, which since then, of course, this is 6 years later, almost 6 years later, we've seen some of that data. So, okay, cool, fine. That's interesting. So then here we go. If everything goes well, this might give us compelling evidence there's active life on Mars right now. All right, that's cool. I'm into that. The article continues, it's a shame that the lander portion of the mission crashed on the surface of Mars, but it's certainly not surprising. In fact, so many spacecraft have gone to the galactic graveyard trying to reach Mars normally, trying to reach Mars that normally rational scientists turn downright superstitious about the place. They call it the Mars Curse. Or, how about this? The Great Galactic Ghoul. Now we're talking. Now we're drinking some maybe juice. All right. Now listen to this. Mars eats spacecraft for breakfast. It's not picky. It'll eat orbiters, landers, even gentle and harmless flybys. Sometimes it kills them before they've even left Earth orbit. All right, you see what's going on here? Listen to this. At the time of this writing, this article in late October 2016, Earthlings have sent a total of 55 robotic missions to Mars. Did you realize we tried to hurl that much? Anyway, so 11 flybys, 23 orbiters, 15 landers, and 6 rovers. Now, this is where this gets super weird, okay? Well, in all, 44 missions have been sent, and this is, again, the timeline's a little skewed because I got these from different articles at different times. But listen to this. Over the decades we've been exploring the Red Planet, several missions have gone astray, starting with the very first landing attempt by the Soviet Mars 2 mission in 1971. More recently, NASA's Climate Orbiter missed its orbit insertion in 1998, and the UK's plucky Beagle 2 lander failed to send back a signal to Earth on Christmas Day 2003. All in all, 44 missions have been sent to Mars, of which 26 have been full or partial failures, and 18 successful. So, if we're keeping score, our crewed Martian success rate is 41%. 41%. All right. And this is what makes astronomers, the scientists, go downright superstitious because, well, how on God's green earth do you have such a low success rate? Okay, and is it just something as simple as, well, I don't know. Let's say it's hard to land on Mars, right? The Great Galactic Ghoul, maybe? I don't know what's going on here. I think this is an interesting thing that right. I mean, is it the same thing trying to land a lander on the moon or land it on Mars, or is it very, very much different and very, very much harder? Now, of course, some of the astronauts involved and the astrophysicists and whatnot will say things like, definitely, it's very much harder, right? It's very much harder. It's very, very much further away. You have to wait for a specific time for the orbits to sort of be in a matched state so we can launch and then be able to communicate quickly and all the rest of this, right? So there's like I said, this is kind of interesting. I couldn't believe it when I first heard this. I was like, really? A Mars curse? Like, never heard of that. But then even worse, right? They're calling it the Great Galactic Ghoul. Eating spacecraft, orbiters, landers. The plot thickens, right? So of course, it got me thinking in terms of, again, back to the questions. Is a curse real? Could it be a curse? Is it possible? All right. Number 2. What about Mars? Couldn't somebody have had to curse this? Like if it's cursed, if it's actually cursed, right? And do you think the somebody that maybe cursed it, let's say was there a long time ago, or maybe is still there? I don't know. I think that's the question tonight. I think that kind of gets us where we need to be. But that's what's going on. That's what's on my mind. I hope everybody's doing well. Happy Wednesday, hump day. What's up? What's up? Mike. Yep, indeed. All right. So that's what's going on. So, and I was, reading a little bit about this, and there's, as always, the fascinating thing about Mars. It's the so not just the curse, right? It's the red planet, and Mars, of course, is the god of war. So, well, we've got the red planet, we got the god of war, and then we've got, let's say, a combative planet when we're talking about landing NASA spacecraft. It just seems to, destroy them, right? Or eat them or something. Something always fails. Something always goes wrong, or, let's say to a high degree. Which, again, we're talking about, we're talking about NASA. We're talking about, spending so much money, millions of dollars and tons of man hours to actually, get these things right. And they've had success in the past. So you would expect, right? Like I always say, it's super weird when things like this happen, because if you've done it once, you kind of know the challenges. Okay. So what about the next thing? How come things keep crashing? How come they keep losing connection at the last second? How come the parachutes don't open? How come it's on and on and on? It's like always something different too. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. It makes me wonder if, I don't know, maybe there is a curse on Mars. So what do you think as we go, as we're talking about this? There's a lot to get into, of course, including, well, if at some point there was let's say a species, let's say an extraterrestrial species, or, well, let's say, what about humans millions of years ago? They've said that on Mars itself that the night owls here on Earth are sort of locked into that 24 and a half hour Mars day cycle, day and night cycle, meaning that, it's sort of better synced for our sleep schedules than Mars or, than here on Earth. So I don't know, like there's a lot to this and a lot to think about. And of course, we can get into Project Stargate and talk about remote viewing Mars and maybe a million years ago and some, some aliens that were seen there, wink, wink. It depends on what you, of course, believe in remote viewing. Do you think that's real? There's a lot to this. Because there have been some claims, of course, like we've looked at this in the past, and if you look at some of the things, if you just type in, like, go to a regular search engine, whatever you use, and just type in Mars or artifacts on Mars, something like this, right? And you'll get everything from like what looks like a squirrel to the Cydonia region where it looks like there may be a pyramid to again, we've seen this one recently with the little cave on Mars, which looks like a doorway. I mean, there's all kinds of things. And not only that, like people claiming there's like a tomb or multiple tombs on Mars of like buried kings of old type of thing, right? The Anunnaki, like Alalu and the face on Mars. I mean, there's a lot to Mars itself and sort of the mythologies and the ideas here. And so what do you think? Now, let's not, I'm asking for your participation tonight in let's not curse the mission to Mars ourselves. I don't want to do that, okay? I don't want to be a downer on I don't want to put it out there that this could be bad, all right? But I do want to talk about in the past, how come Mars itself has been so difficult to land on, and how come so many actual crashes have happened. And again, we're talking like a success rate of 44%. All right. Again, this is from 2016, I believe, or just a little bit before that, this number. But the problem with that is, of course, that as time goes, we get better at this, right? So the number now is actually, our success rate is just over 50%. So it's as of 2022, because as many of you know, we landed the helicopter on Mars, Ingenuity, and so we've had some successes recently, and that's good. That's a good thing. So it's actually moved the total missions and the total success rate of the landing on Mars by space programs the world over to just barely over 50%. I think it's like 52% now, if we're keeping score like on a real-time basis, right? If it was like a basketball score on the screen, like they did with COVID. Sorry, I digress. But you know what I mean, something like that. So it's that's what this is. So is it possible there's a curse on Mars? And I think the idea is fascinating. I think it's fun to think about. And of course, it makes me wonder about who may have put the curse there. Is it, as they say in that article, the galactic ghoul? Or is it something to do with maybe the galactic ghoul is Mars itself, and the red planet being the god of war? So, like I said, lots to consider, lots to think about. What about tombs on Mars? What about Joe McMoneagle remote viewing, which we'll get into a lot of this stuff as well tonight. Joe McMoneagle of the Project Stargate remote viewing Mars a million years ago and seeing some sort of a cataclysmic event going down and giant aliens trying to escape Mars. The plot thickens, does it not? So I don't know. There's enough mythology out there regarding the red planet itself, and this one adds sort of nicely to the discussion. I think I didn't realize there was actually what is known to scientists as a curse on Mars, or the Mars curse. And there we go. I think that probably sets us up properly for tonight. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Wednesday, Hump Day, Mike, and of course, what do you think regarding Mars, regarding curses, regarding, let's say, the Anunnaki, and maybe tombs on Mars? What about the door they found recently? What about remote viewing? There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to think about because, this is Troubled Minds after all. So that's what we do. That's what we do here, and I hope you're into it so far. So there it is. As we get down into the nitty-gritty bottom of the hour, what we're going to do is ask for your phone call. Do you want to be part of the show tonight and you know something about the Mars curse? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is this real? Could it not be real? Is it somewhere in between? And if it's real, what does this mean about the great galactic ghoul? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More about the Mars curse, the Anunnaki, remote viewing, and of course, the galactic ghoul when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss the idea of a curse on Mars. They've said our success rate as recently as 2016 was 44% landing any sort of, let's say, mechanical device. That's a rover, that's a whatever, that's a lander, that's anything. Even satellites that are supposed to orbit Mars have been, let's say, catastrophic. Have been again, as 2016 the count was 44% success rate. And so the question becomes, right, scientists and astrophysicists and the individuals involved with NASA in landing things on Mars actually believe, well, superstition-wise, that there is a curse, that it's not only extremely difficult to land something safely on Mars, but also that it seems to track in the numbers. Once again, let's go to this real fast. Over the decades, we've been exploring the Red Planet. Several missions have gone astray, starting with the very first landing attempted by the Soviet Mars 2 mission in 1971. More recently, NASA's Climate Orbiter missed its orbit insertion in 1998, and the UK's Beagle 2 lander failed to send back a signal to Earth on Christmas Day in 2003. All in all, 44 missions have been sent to Mars, of which 26 have been full or partial failures and 18 successful. So this is back in 2016. So if we're keeping score, our crewed Martian success rate is 41%. Like I said, in recent years, we've crept over 50, just barely over 50%. I think it's 52%. But it's been very, very difficult to land things on Mars itself. So it got, let's say, astrophysicists or the individuals that do the math and do the landings to think that, well, maybe indeed there was a curse on Mars. What do you think? 702-957-1037. Love to hear your thoughts. Let's go to Matt in Colorado. What's up, my friend? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight?
Well, I'm doing pretty well, and thanks for having me on again. I think it's an excellent topic tonight. Like you said, there's so many ways to go with this. There's so many different things we heard from so many different sources, mythology, modern science, etc., that are just really perplexing and make a mind want to think about this. So, great topic. Like you said, when we talked about the other night, you're not the arbiter of truth. I'm not the arbiter of truth. And I said that reality itself is the arbiter of truth. So we kick around ideas, we throw out opinions, we throw out information we may have heard from different sources, and none of that makes it true. What makes it true is what's really real. And we just want to explore that. We just want to ask those questions. And, so I just want to throw that out there. And this is not a subject where I'm have any insider knowledge or direct experiences of. So I'm just going to throw out some of those thoughts that I've had, information I've exposed to. I'm not saying any of it's true or real. Some of it comes from sciences or different sources. I think I told you I actually I had a NASA space scholarship in college, and I was privileged to go out to the JPL Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which I believe is in Pasadena, California. And when I did that, I got to see a Mars rover, and I believe it was the first one. I think it was the Curiosity rover. And I got to see it in person, and I got to stand about 20 feet away from it. And it was cool. They had it on this set, like a movie set. It was sitting in the sand. They had rocks around it. And then on the two back walls, they had these basically Martian landscape murals painted, so they could do promotional videos and everything like that. And it was awesome. I got to stand 20 feet away from a spacecraft that actually went to Mars. I got to see some other cool stuff there, but it was highly secured. Not a lot of people got to go in there, and I wanted to go up to it, and I asked the guy, I'm like, "Oh man, can I go check it out?" He's like, "No, you can't go anywhere near it. We don't want it contaminated with human germs and stuff like that." And interestingly, I just read an article the other day of there may be concern that like human germs or viruses may have gotten on one of the rovers and is, messing with stuff on Mars. And I'm like, yeah, that's why they told me not to go near the damn thing. But that was a pretty cool experience. And the second thing I wrote down in my notes is actually something that during your introduction you brought up 15, 20 minutes later. And that is one of the most fascinating things. I just can't explain this. If you can, great. Tell me. I would love to hear the explanation. If any scientist can tell me the explanation, great. I would love to hear it. Okay, but a Mars day is 1 day and 37 minutes compared to an Earth day. Now, when our astronauts that are on the space station go up into orbit, their circadian rhythms actually adjust to and align with a Mars day. They get 37 minutes longer. Why? Okay, because the space station is 227 miles above Earth. That's not very far in astronomical terms. Let's put it this way. Mars is currently 135.5 million miles away from Earth. 135 million miles away. So how is it that our astronauts in space at 227 miles would somehow change to a Mars day when Mars is 135 million miles away? It can't be the gravitational field. How do you explain that? Right? That's just a great mystery. And it ties into, you asked the question and somebody said, Elon Musk wanted to make humans multi-planetary beings. Well, here's the question. What if humans are already multi-planetary beings? What if humans actually came from Mars? Or maybe just our DNA? Wouldn't that explain why our circadian rhythms adjust to and set to Mars if we were like, maybe we're descended Martians, or maybe we have like Martian DNA in us, right? And this ties into the other thing that you said, that maybe there was some great catastrophe on Mars. And you talked about, remote viewers going back a million years, and there was some great cataclysmic event. Well, you know what? I encountered years ago this scientific research, and if you have a chance during the break, maybe you can Google this and come up with a link to this. But supposedly, during their study of Mars, and this was probably one of the spacecraft that orbited Mars and took various data. So, according to what I read, they discovered two different areas of Mars that have hugely radioactive signatures that they were able to pick up and detect. Not only that, when they look at these areas geographically, it's like, wow, this looks like a nuclear bomb blew up here. And there's two of these. And not only that, they were like, 50,000 times bigger than Nagasaki or Hiroshima. So it's like, there may be actually some scientific evidence that something akin to or nuclear type things went off on Mars a long time ago. And there's also probably some evidence, and I think they think this, that Mars used to have an atmosphere. Mars used to have water. It was probably a habitable planet. There was probably Martians there. And if you put all those together, it's like, they blew themselves up. They nuked themselves. And when they did that, it blew up the atmosphere, right? And I think there's, according to what I read, and I don't remember the source, sorry, maybe there's evidence that there was a cataclysmic event, the scientific evidence that would confirm the remote viewing, right? And that's what took out the ancient Martians. That's what took out the atmosphere. And, okay, so, what happened to them? Well, if you want to take Night Stalker's elevator up a little bit, if you want to look at those as like beings or souls or whatever, basically they were relocated to Earth. Or even maybe like before there was the nuclear war, some of them were like, let's get out of here. These guys are crazy. Just like Elon Musk or other people, it's like, Earth's going to, nuke itself or destroy the planet. Let's get out of here. Let's go to Mars. Well, maybe the Martians were like, let's get out of here. Let's go to Earth. It's habitable, before something crazy goes on here. So whether you look at it from souls incarnating on Earth, or whether you look at it from some of them got the jump on it, and they're like, let's get in our ships, let's go, we're out of here. And so maybe Earthlings, humanity, were actually ancient Martians. Now, wouldn't that explain several things? The destruction of the atmosphere, the radioactive sites, the geographically where they can see there were these massive explosions, and wouldn't it explain why our astronauts, 227 miles up, somehow their circadian rhythms changed to Martian time? I mean, doesn't it kind of explain it all?
It is peculiar, I'll give you that. And I think that's the interesting part about Mars in particular, is there's so many ways, like you described there, to look at this. And it is, if you guys don't know this, he's spot on with the circadian rhythm in Mars and the rest of this. This is an article from experiencelifetime.life. Night Owls Are from Mars, it's entitled. Listen to this. Just over 1% of humans carry a gene mutation that predisposes them to late nights, according to a new study published in the journal Cell. Specifically, the CRY1 mutation puts the body on a 24.5-hour clock, which suits its carriers to life on Mars, where a day lasts 24 hours and 39 minutes. So there already is a gene mutation, they say, in people that does predispose them to life on Mars and that circadian rhythm. Wild stuff, man. I don't know. Again, you know me. I can't confirm or deny any of this. I don't have any inside sources, or I don't know anything other than you do. But I have heard of many of the things you're describing here. And it does make you wonder if at some point in the remote past, maybe there was some sort of an alien presence on Mars itself. It's definitely a fascinating thing to think about and talk about. What about the curse in particular? Did you got a take on that?
Well, not in, and like I said, I don't have any inside information, and I'm not the arbiter of this. I'm just passing along different things that I've heard and been exposed to. I'm not claiming any of this is true.
Sure.
It does make you wonder. It's a fascinating topic. In terms of the curse, yeah, like the ancient alien guy would say, you have to wonder if there is sort of a curse, whether it's a curse or it's sort of like, there's stuff here we don't want you to find, or we're not supposed to find, or you're being kept away. And it reminded me, it brought up like, the Space Odyssey 2001, and I can't remember, I'm sorry, if they were I think they were going to Saturn. And, and they see the big metal thing there, and then the final message is like, all of the worlds are yours to explore, but leave this one alone, right? Wasn't that the message of the movie? And it's just sort of like, it just reminded me of that. It is just like, we don't want you around here. Stuff here you're not supposed to know or supposed to encounter yet, or heck, maybe there is still some form of intelligent life or conscious life that's maybe not even physical, that's interdimensional in nature, that's like, it's a keep-away zone. It's like a no-fly zone, like the military sets up the no-fly zones. Mars is a no-fly zone, and humanity's not ready for this yet. You're not supposed to realize that, you were genetically spermed here from different alien races and whatever. You're not quite ready for that realization, and you're not quite ready for what went on Mars. So I don't know about a curse necessarily, but in a similar way, sort of a keep-away zone. What do you think about that? Just like, forbidden knowledge, sort of something going on.
Yeah, I mean, you would expect if there was something up there that with maybe the ability to stop landers and whatnot from being there, some things would happen. So I'm open to it. I don't know, like I'm not sure I directly believe in curses, but I am broadcasting from a circle of salt. So I don't know. I'm going to hedge my bets both ways because I think it's fascinating to think about. But it is peculiar, right, that we've got all this experience with these world space programs, and they still they have much more success doing almost every other thing. It's just Mars in particular seems to be a really tough nut to crack. So, yeah, definitely worth thinking about, worth talking about. I appreciate the phone call, Matt. Always a pleasure, and looking forward to hearing from you. If you got more later, you're welcome to come back, okay? Appreciate it, brother.
Hey, always a pleasure being on, and I think, like I said, it's a fascinating topic. I look forward to what people, other callers have to add and choose some stuff around. It's all about asking questions.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. Have a fantastic night. That's Matt in Colorado. Good friend of the show, good friend of mine, and always good stuff. A lot of the stuff he was talking about there it's part of the Mars mythology, right? And it is curious that the more we get into this, the more you think about Mars, the more Mars seems to think about you. And what I mean by that is it's pervasive in the news cycles. Mars. Like I said, just type Mars in a search engine and smash the news, and watch what happens. It's Mars. It's crazy, and well, it's good. I think it's good. I think at some point we need to become a multiplanetary species. A lot of folks are like, it's a waste of money and all, and all that, and yeah, probably, maybe, I don't know. But hey, what if the super volcano blows up in Yellowstone and it's a wrap, right? I mean, we don't know. Like, that's the thing. It's we don't know what we don't know. We talked about that last night, and especially in terms of Mother Earth and Gaia deciding, maybe it's time that we reset this whole MFR, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think there's actually a curse on Mars? And they describe this as a curse because, like I said, astronomically speaking, in let's say missions, landers, rovers, you name it, orbiters, the rest of this stuff, they have a very high success rate just across the board. But for some reason, Mars itself is very difficult. It's very difficult to land things on. They have things just kind of cut out. I'll get into a little bit of that, some of these mission specifics, so you can see that it's not just like one particular thing that keeps happening, like an engineering mistake or something, right? Maybe the math is wrong in Mars's atmosphere, any of that, right? There's many different ways these things are failing, and so that's what kind of leads, let's say, mostly non superstitious people to be superstitious about sending missions to Mars. But what do you think, right? Regarding that, there's a lot of good stuff that Matt said there too. We've talked about this in the past as well, with maybe a actual nuclear war on Mars back in the day, some sort of actual something going on there. What about the Anunnaki? Of course, we know that the ancient astronaut theorists would say yes, but I'm less concerned about what they say, and I'm more concerned about what you say. So do you think it's possible, again, back to the questions, do you think it's possible there is a curse on Mars? Number one, is a curse real? Do you believe in curses? Okay. Number two, why Mars? Why do you think Mars would be cursed in particular, especially for, let's say, scientific landers and orbiters and rovers? Why do we have such a low success rate? Is it just hard to land on Mars, or is there something else to it? Number three, do you think at some point there was, let's say, Martians on Mars? Whether you believe that's human DNA that came here, and now with Elon trying to go back, we're returning to the motherland, as it were, right? Again, I know that's probably a bad term because all kinds of different connotations of terrible stuff in the past, but that's not what I mean. I mean the planet Mars itself. So I don't know. Again, a lot of compelling stuff here. And of course, they've talked about, so not just, like I said, seeing squirrels and whatnot and these different artifacts on Mars. Also, they talk about tombs, right? Particular tombs. And if you guys have been paying attention and watching the news cycles, you know just recently that they had this door. You guys seen this door? The actual door on Mars, right? We talked about this not too long ago. And it's interesting because... not just because the door itself seems to be very door-like, if you know what I'm saying. They're calling it, again, this is anomalien.com, and like I said, If you're going to make a domain name, make it so you pronounce it, please. But anyway, easily pronounce it. Ancient tomb entrance discovered on Mars, okay? And if you look at this is they're equating this little door to basically a tomb entrance in Egypt. All right, and this is from famous ufologist Scott Waring, who again is an ancient astronaut theorist, says yes, like let's say commander-in-chief type of guy. But he announced another amazing discovery on Mars. According to him, in recent images of the surface of Mars, he found a mysterious entrance. The virtual archaeologist draws readers' attention to the fact that on Mars there is a huge number of evidence of an intelligent civilization that once existed on the red planet. This time, the ufologist focused his attention on the latest photograph of the Martian landscape taken this week by the Martian rover. In two photographs, a doorway can be seen on the hillside. The entrance is very similar to the ancient Egyptian entrance to the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. And if you look, well, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. And so that is, I don't know, that's, well, is that the entrance to a tomb on Mars is the question, right? It's easy to make claims. Like I said, it's quite a bit harder to back them up. But when I saw the first photograph of that, the actual door on Mars, I thought, what in the world? That's not real. Can that be real? And I went and checked the actual the information from NASA itself, and went directly to the link and found it myself. And sure enough, that door on Mars, they say it's only 3 feet tall, something like that. So it's kind of like a door for small folks or whatever, or let's say Martians are small. I don't know, but in those terms, it does very much look like the entrance to the tomb at the Valley of the Kings. So I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of people that claim a lot of things. And just because people claim things doesn't make them true. All right. But what do you think? Do you think it could be true? And that's where a good, interesting conversation seems to come about. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Regarding Mars and the curse. Okay, is it just tough to land on Mars, or do you think that something is more, let's say, nefarious? Something more nefarious is afoot. And I don't know. I like how Night Stalker said it. Maybe there's Mars is the Bermuda Triangle of the solar system. Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe there's something anomalous there, or the Great Galactic Ghoul, as they've been calling it, right? I don't know. You tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Lots to talk about. Mars, of course. And did you know, and this is another one, let's add this to the list of questions. Had you heard of a Mars curse before I brought it up tonight? Interested to hear if you've actually are aware of this, because I just found this out probably a couple of weeks ago, and I was pretty stoked. I was like, yeah, this sounds like it could be a Troubled Mind show. The Curse on Mars. I love it. So there we go. That's what we're doing tonight. We're just hanging out, talking by dark of night about crazy things. Happy Wednesday, hump day. Mike. And we're just doing our thing. And so Mars in particular is compelling, for not just the reason of Elon wants to go, and it's probably the place we're going to end up very, very soon. Let's say the next probably 5-ish years. People actually setting foot on Mars, it's an exciting prospect. It's something that kind of makes me go, sweet. Can people actually do these types of things, right? Some people say no. Some people say no chance. It's not real. This can't be real, Mike. Space is fake, Mike. Space is fake, they say, Mike. I say, well, maybe. Because I don't really know. I've never been to space, have you? But that doesn't mean, if you haven't, it doesn't mean it's not real. So, suspend whatever disbelief you may have, and let's consider curses. But not just the idea of a curse, but a curse on Mars. It seems to be eating landers, orbiters, rovers, and whatnot. And what do you think is going on here? One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More about the Mars curse, the Anunnaki, let's say a tomb on Mars, Alalu, and of course your calls when we return. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds on the way. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Yo ho, yo ho. Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Wednesday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things, you may wonder? I'll have to sum up because there's far too many. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Taking your calls tonight as we discuss curses. Curses, you curses. Right? You guys ever seen Scooby-Doo? Curses. Well, there's this thing known as a curse on Mars, or the Mars curse, okay? And it's interesting because it's not just that in terms of, let's say, the red planet being cursed in, I don't know, let's say esoteric terms, all right? Or the god of war, or things like this, right? It's actually a mathematical, let's say, semi-conclusion, right? It is, of course, we're talking about pseudo stuff here, meaning that I don't even know if any of this is true because we're considering the possibilities. But they do say, scientists believe that there is a curse on Mars, or the Mars curse as it's known. And the reason they say that is because there's actually a very low success rate of landing, let's say, NASA projects, or let's say aerospace projects on Mars itself. Not just landers, again, not just rovers, but also orbiters themselves. They have problems even sort of engaging in orbit with Mars. And as of 2016 or somewhere thereabouts, the success rate of successful Mars missions was around 44%. Okay, 44%, and that's pretty low, especially considering like all the years we've had practice doing space programs and all the rest of this, the landers on the moon, you know, actually sending people to the moon. If you believe that, I know this is a conspiracy show, so there's a lot of people out there that actually do not believe that we went to the moon, right? So that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother day. But how about in terms of landing, let's say, the Curiosity rover, or again, which Matt in Colorado just called in and said he actually saw that with his own eyes. He was able to kind of see something that's on Mars currently right now, which seems pretty wild, right? But so the question becomes this, right? As we do this, before we actually get to the questions, you guys know the drill, right? We're doing this live to include you. This is a conversation, so love to hear your thoughts on a number of things. But before we get there, it goes like this. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show there, and it's easy as that. And let's see, we're doing that. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and of course we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And there you go. I think that covers it. Please join the Fringe Discord at fringe.fm/chat, and also please download the Fringe app. You can find that at your favorite app store, of course. That's going to be Apple or Android, and it's completely free and the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds. You just smash the play button at 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday. You get me, you get us, and you get the rest of the great programming that happens on Fringe. All right, so back to this Mars curse. Check this out. They say this, okay? Now, this is the weird part about this, all right? This is, again, over the decades we've been exploring the red planet. Several missions have gone astray, starting with the very first landing attempt by the Soviet Mars 2 mission in 1971. More recently, NASA's Climate Orbiter missed its orbit insertion in 1998, and the UK's Beagle 2 lander failed to send back a signal to Earth on Christmas Day in 2003. All in all, 44 missions have been sent to Mars, of which 26 have been full or partial failures and 18 successful. So if we're keeping score, our Martian success rate is 41%, all right? And this is approximately 2016. Since then, we've had a few more successes, of course. As you guys know, the Ingenuity helicopter is up there, and the new Mars rover, and I think China's got a rover on Mars as well. So there's some successes that actually bumped us up to about 52% currently in the last, let's say, 6 years since this article came out. But it does make you wonder about the idea of a curse, and not just a curse on Mars. And they call it, and this is pretty funny because, of course, this is very troubled mindsy, the Great Galactic Ghoul. That's, I don't know, just swatting, I don't know, satellites out of the air or something. But what are your thoughts here? So the number of questions tonight are many. Do you believe in curses? Do you believe that curses are actually real? First one. 2, why Mars? Do you think Mars could actually be cursed? All right, that's an odd one. But, of course, if we're talking about the Great Galactic Ghoul, and it is troubled minds, why the hell not? And then we have the third, right? The third question becomes, well, if there is a curse on Mars, who put it there? Do you think at some point in the past there's, I don't know, a civilization on Mars? The, let's say, ancient Martians, or let's say life on Mars currently. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. I see you, James. Let's go to James in Michigan. What's up, brother? How are you? Welcome to Troubled Minds.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, my man. Loud and clear. What do you think? Yeah, James here, our paranormal expert at Troubled Minds. He talks about paranormal stuff on his podcast. What do you know about curses, man? Do you think that stuff could be real?
I was thinking about this. I've been listening the whole time, and great topic, and great call and everything from Matt.
Thank you.
In Colorado. But it seems to me, just based on what I've heard over the years, it seems that there tend to be two types of curses. There seem to be the ones that people are aware that other people put on them. Where person A will tell person B, I curse you because of this or that, and they spell out what's going to happen. And with that, I think it's hard to say what for sure is going on there. And the other kind of curse, though, this really reminds me of certain places, and I can't think of any specifically, but if you look around, I'm sure you can find stories like this online, of places where things were built on a certain piece of land, and there was just problem after problem after problem with getting the place set up. And to the point where people in the area start wondering if the area is cursed. And in that case, they don't have a person to go back to say, this person did that or these people did that. It's more something that people start to wonder about as the situation develops. Either way, I think there's always a mix of two things. I think there's some of it is our need to find patterns in things. But I also believe in energy, and that energy can be directed to and away from people. And so I do think in some cases, possibly, that curses could be real. Now, applying this to Mars, that's a whole other level of that. Because we don't know who was there before, if there was anyone there before. And so we don't know which situation, which kind of curse this falls into. But, so it's hard to say what's going on there. So yeah, I don't know, but that's a really amazing, like I said, really amazing idea, topic and everything. And, I do wonder about the idea of there being tombs there. It's funny that Mars and Egypt were mentioned because Again, I just recently finished listening to an audiobook. Are we running out of time? No, I thought
No,
we
you're
did
good.
it for a second.
You're good.
Okay.
Did somebody jump in, maybe? Oh, yeah, that was Daryl. You're good. You're good.
Oh, okay. But I was just listening recently to the Martian Chronicles, like I said a little while back. And in the introduction to that book, Ray Bradbury talks about how, in his mind, he modeled parts of Mars, parts of his stories, on just towns here in the U.S., but also because of the way the red planet and everything, and the way things look out there, he mentioned that he was reminded of Egypt as well. And this is a book that's been out for over 50, 60, 70 years. So yeah. And as far as there being, I'm not ruling out there being civilizations there before that have somehow either moved away or destroyed each other, or both. I think that both are possible, going back to what Matt in Colorado was saying. And the thing about the circadian rhythms, the 25 and whatever minutes, that extra time in a day, that happening in space as well, that is, I hadn't heard of that part. So that really is amazing. So, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts so far.
Yeah, it's definitely enough stuff to be certainly compelling, worthy of a conversation. Like I said, you know us, we're not professing there's Martians up there, but I wouldn't be surprised, to be perfectly honest, if there was some sort of at least life up there, microbial in the very least. But you would expect, right, harsh conditions on Mars for life to move underground. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if that was really going on there. So fantastic stuff as usual, James. I appreciate you. Like I always say, James is the glue of this show. If people don't call, James is like, hey, I'll get in here. I'll talk. I'll give you my take. I appreciate it very much, my man. James here has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. Check it out. He talks paranormal stuff, and he just did some comic stuff with Night Stalker tonight. So he does Zeitgeist stuff. He does paranormal. He does paranormal news. He does book reviews, including Stephen King, and he's doing Lovecraft. Go check it out. James is a good friend of mine, very good dude, and he's got a very good podcast. Links in the description down below. Give him a follow on his YouTube channel and also in his podcast. I appreciate it, James. You're the best, brother.
Oh, thank you. No problem. And I'm gonna just hang back and listen, and then maybe I'll jump in later.
You got. Appreciate it, my man. What are your thoughts, guys, on curses? Do you think a curse is real? And what about the Mars curse? Again, just as a real quick recap, remember, all in all, they say 44 missions have been sent to Mars as of about 2016, and 26 of them have been full or partial failures and 18 successful. So if we're keeping score, the Martian success rate is 41%, which is miserable. So it's led, let's say, scientists, astrophysicists, NASA developers to sort of wink, consider that there may be a curse on Mars itself. And they're calling it, love this, the Great Galactic Ghoul. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. Let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. What's up, Robert? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend?
Fine. How are you?
Doing okay. It's doing what we do, man. Talking about crazy stuff. Have you ever heard of a curse on Mars?
Well, no, I haven't. But if there is one, it migrated to Earth millions of years ago, and we're about to repeat the same thing that happened there. What Matt was saying, it's pretty much the way I see it, the same way that there was countries on Mars went to war. They had their experiment, their genocidal war using nuclear weapons. I just can't imagine when people look at the pictures from Mars and they see all that debris. I mean, we know what rocks look like. We've been to the beaches. We've seen, boulders, and these are slabs, broken slabs all over Mars. All right, that clearly came from some kind of structures that were blown to pieces.
Are you there? Did you drop?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
They were blown to pieces. I found myself thinking, you know, we're almost identically repeating this. All right, we're talking about sending an exploratory mission to Mars, and maybe 100 million years ago, or 50 million years ago, whenever, Mars sent an expedition to Earth. All right, just to check out the planet. Maybe there was an Elon Musk on Mars. I don't know. Sent a mission to Earth. And while it was here on Earth, Mars blew itself to pieces in a nuclear war. So they were wind up being marooned on Earth, that exploratory mission. And from them, these are scientists and things like that, people who have very advanced technology, and they created a civilization. They created us. They did all that stuff. All right, and here we are. We're going to send a mission to Mars, and that's going to happen, just like you were talking about. Probably about 5 years from now, it'll finally come to fruition. And I'm wondering, we're so close right now, at the very present moment, to a nuclear genocide. With what's going over in Ukraine and Russia and our interference and all that, and the way the NATO associates are hanging in there doing the same, doing our bidding. We're on the precipice of that, and I'm wondering, is this going to go on and on and on until that mission goes to Mars? Musk finally gets those people there, and then it happens right here on Earth all over again. All right, and then that mission is exiled on Mars, like a repeat of something that happened, but in reverse, millions of years ago.
Oops, I muted myself.
Mars blew up its atmosphere. It had oceans. It had an atmosphere, and it had a protective ozone layer. And it blew the atmosphere and the ozone layer to smithereens. It blew it out into space with the nuclear war. And, of course, without that, the oceans all dried up. And I really am beginning to wonder if all these mythologies about Atlantis, from the Greek mythology to the mythologies of India, where they described the destruction of nuclear bombs there. I cited the text in the comments on that. If they're really just referring to something that happened on Mars, that Mars was the actual Atlantis, and we're hunting for Atlantis here on Earth when it's really Atlantis was on Mars.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Mars.
I like the idea. They said that, the ancient astronaut theorists say yes, Georgios Tsoukalos and Ancient Aliens. He's described maybe Atlantis as being maybe part of Earth at some point that did take off and actually went somewhere else, maybe to Mars. And what's interesting too about what you're talking about, it is compelling, I think, if you look at the landscape of Mars itself and the rock structures. They don't seem to be like you described, like we would expect to see rock structures through natural erosion or anything like that. They seem to be things like broken up and pieces of things that used to be something else. It's pretty wild. It looks like a pretty desolate place for sure.
Matter of fact, it resembles Hiroshima and Nagasaki after atomic bombs were dropped on them. Same thing. And
yeah.
To me, it's so doggone obvious, all right, because the Martian winds, they not form sharp edges like that. I mean, maybe here or there, but it's all over the planet. And I don't believe the wind took all those oddly shaped boulders and gave them sharp edges and turned them into slabs. Those are concrete slabs, some from structures that were smashed to pieces by some kind of awful holocaust.
Definitely, I can buy that. Like I said, when you look at it, it certainly seems like something doesn't seem so natural there. What do you think about curses in particular? You think curses are real?
Has that occurred to you? Has that occurred to you when you would look at those pictures? Has that occurred to you that's exactly what that looks like?
Yeah, definitely. I've thought about it in the past too, looking at some of the photographs that come from not just the orbiters, but from the rovers. There are particular rock structures that look peculiar. They do look not natural. Like I said, the Martian wind or even ancient water. Like it doesn't do that on Earth, and clearly you would expect to be a little bit different for an alien planet, but that different where it looks like jagged edges and this little door on Mars. And I don't know, man. I'm with you. It does look peculiar. Real quick before we run out of time, what about curses?
As far as the curse,
yeah, go ahead.
As far as the curse goes, as far as the curse topic goes, if there's a curse, it's a curse that repeats. All right, the curse of what happened to Mars it looks like it could easily happen all over again here on Earth with the same history. As I said earlier, the same history where it happens while there's a Musk mission settled on Mars, and they're totally exiled there because they can't return to Earth because Earth blew itself to pieces.
So history repeating itself in the long cycle. I love it, man. I love it. So the curse we may be playing ping pong with the curse. The Mars curse, the Earth curse, back and forth, back and forth.
Right. Well, it'll be Earth getting the curse and giving it back to Mars. Or, somewhere along those lines. The curse is that it seems like civilizations, no matter how advanced they get, still seem to have this absolute ending in a powerful blast because they destroy each other. They destroy their planet, and that's how it ends. And maybe that's the way it is. That's the way evolution is on every planet that has ever had life. Millions of years ahead of ours. That's how it all ends every time.
That would be unfortunate
because we cannot handle the technology, the toys that we create, and not use them.
Amen.
For nefarious purposes sooner or later.
Amen. Amen. Great stuff as always. I appreciate the phone call, Robert. We're running out of time here. Always a pleasure. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the call.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Have a great night. Thanks a lot.
Sit back.
All right. Sorry about that. I'll catch you later. There you go. That's Robert, affectionately known as The Robert. He's got a book called Stories from a Fractured Mind. Links in the description down below. Check it out. He sent me a couple copies, full disclosure, and I read it, and it's very good. There you go. Thanks, Robert, for the phone call. And thanks, everybody. Thanks to Matt and James and Robert for kicking in here. We got Jennifer on the line as well as Daryl in New York, so we're going to go to both of them when we come back. But we're still talking about this, right? What about this idea of a curse on Mars? Well, again, as soon as early as 2016, in approximately that time range, they said we had a mission success rate of 41%. Orbiters, landers, all the rest, rovers, problems, lots of problems, inexplicably causing issues for space programs the world over. Do you think the Mars curse could be real? Love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More about the Mars curse, Jennifer, and of course Daryl when we return. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're talking about the curse on Mars. What the hell does this mean? What do you believe? Do you believe curses are real? Do you believe they're just hogwash? Love to hear your thoughts. We're talking about this stuff because, of course, we've got a very low mission success rate to the red planet itself. In all, since about 2016, 44 missions missions have been to Mars, 18 successful at a miserable 41% success rate. Do you think somehow, some way out there, the great galactic ghoul actually exists and there is a curse on the red planet? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to Daryl in New York. What's up, Daryl? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight?
Okay. Hey, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing good. Me? Yeah, loud and clear. Loud and clear. What's cooking? What do you know about curses? And do you believe there's one on Mars?
Well, I wonder if there was a curse, who would have made a curse there? And are they still around? Like, does a curse end when you die? Maybe they are still alive, the people that made this curse, maybe a few million years ago. Maybe they really are immortal. But I was thinking, more likely, what if they just had some self-automated artificial intelligence that's just like the police, and they're running on unlimited energy, that are just shooting down our crafts? That's a possibility. Maybe they're making it impossible for us to land, though I don't think we're that smart. And we spend so much money. How come they haven't gotten this right? Why don't they practice first before they send something up there to get destroyed? I know we spend a lot of money on these space programs, that we should have a lot more successes. And I think we're much more successful at making weapons than we are traveling to other planets. I think the Martians probably had the opposite. They were probably better at traveling to other planets than making weapons. However, one thing will lead to another, I'm sure. But it's funny you're talking about this today. I don't know why. I was reading about like inner Earth and other, species on our planet or from Mars. And then I was thinking, if we have all this underground like life, maybe, like somebody was interviewing a Martian or some kind of other creature from another species of creature, not a human, but somebody that lived in the inner Earth that's claimed that there was a sun, and there's a lot of technology to get down there, and it's very climatized, and they were speaking like as if they were really for real. Anyway, it was very interesting, but I'm thinking if it's possible here, and we know that we've dug tunnels underground. Why did we do that? Who did that? Were they Martians? Did they have experience doing this because of how they used to fight in the past? I think there might be underground civilizations on every planet then, including ours. And if there's life there, that it would probably be underground. Maybe that door was, Ash's door to the inner Mars, and there are still survivors. Usually there's some survivors if they don't blow up the planet totally. If they apparently they had a war with another planet that they used a dwarf star and slingshotted it across galaxies to blow up a planet. And that sounded pretty imaginative. It was another, supposed Martian talking about how they used to have war back where he came from. But apparently some of these are pretty immortal, according to the interview. She was like, I don't know how many thousands of years old. I think Night Stalker posted it in one of the chat rooms. So I recommend everybody watch whatever he posted. It's always interesting. And in fact, everybody's so interesting. Whatever they post, try to watch it. APOC, everybody that's out here, GD, everybody posts very, very interesting stuff.
100%. If you haven't joined the Discord, please do. She's talked about posts there and also in the chat at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. What do you know about curses, Daryl? Do you think curses are actually possible or even real?
Well, I know that I wouldn't want to be cursed. I think it would really stink, and I think it's very hard to get out of a curse, from what I've heard. But you still have to know some witchcraft, and that's pretty sophisticated stuff. And if that's universal, maybe witchcraft is universal. And to make a curse on a planet, though? Or is it just on visitors to that planet? And I was just going to say one more thing. Oh, yeah, a rogue planet. Somebody was saying today as well that if you wanted to get off this planet, you don't have to get on a rocket ship. You just got to hop on a rogue planet. And then, maybe the Martians got on the moon. Maybe the moon was a rogue planet, and they, drove into another, part of the galaxy, which was, more inhabitable. They say something about the universe being flat, and you don't need to travel on rockets. You just have to find that. You have to find a way to find that rogue planet like Nibiru or something. Or maybe
I did see that. Robert shared both of those articles in the Discord today, and I saw them a couple of days ago. Yeah, it's fascinating. I thought about that flat universe, and I was like, I know where that's going to lead us, so I'll dodge that one. but the rogue planet's an interesting thought. But yeah, I don't know. So Mars curse. Are we going to say maybe here?
I think it's our Earth curse. I think we're so incompetent on. I mean, that's a really poor percentage rate. And why didn't we go back to the moon? Was that cursed, or was there somebody there? We had perfectly great ships that were only used once, I believe. Those shuttles that we put in a museum now. They were like barely used. It's like using a car once, and then you just park it somewhere and you leave it there, and then you don't even buy a new car. You don't drive anymore, I mean, we could have gone back to the moon with what we had. We know how to land on the moon now, We even knew how to land back on Earth very smoothly, like on an airplane, that those space shuttles were very sophisticated and cost a lot of money. And then we just scrapped the whole space program then. Why did we go back to the moon? Was something there? And I was hearing something else about monoliths up to like 20 miles high, either on Mars or on the moon. I can't remember where. And there were giants. So they had giant weapons and they had to do giant stuff, to break everything up. And I think the giants came here. I think there was maybe they were traveling here a little bit and back and forth. And then boom, they couldn't go back home. So they stayed here, and then, they had nobody to mate with. So they had to mate with some of us. And, that's how we got smaller. I don't know. That's how they made the pyramids. Who knows? I think there were giants on Mars for sure. And with their atmosphere, there's a problem with their atmosphere. I mean, would that happen to Earth if we had a mega bomb? Like, would we blow up all of the gas on Earth? They were afraid it was going to happen the first time they set off a nuke, But it didn't. Luckily, we had enough atmosphere. It sounds like it could happen, though.
Yeah. Hey, I'm willing to say maybe. I'm willing to say maybe here. There's a lot going on Mars that we just don't really have the answers yet. So I'm willing to entertain the curse on Mars. And of course, and the reason that brings it up is because somebody said to me in the chat there that 50% seems like a pretty good success rate to land on on Mars on a another planet, right? But in that term, well, the success for the moon is very, very, very much higher, and so that becomes the question, right? But yeah. So anyway.
50% is not good enough. Honestly, are you going to take a medication that's 50% effective?
No, hell no.
If you were given the choice, there you go. I guess it's good enough for the pharmaceuticals, and it's good enough for our interplanetary travel. That's not good enough. I don't want my tax dollars spent that way. I think they got to do better, work harder, get smarter.
Get smarter, damn it! Horseshoes and hand grenades. Daryl, you're the best. I appreciate it. What else you got for us?
I'm good. That's it. Want to hear Jennifer?
Okay. Daryl here has a YouTube channel. Good friend of mine. Good friend of the show's. Check it out. Links in the description down below. She sings in English and French. She's got some stuff on Morgellons and some paranormal stuff over there. Please go give her a follow. Thanks again, Daryl. You're welcome to stay right there. Just mute up, and I'll get back to you a little bit later. Okay.
You got it.
Appreciate it very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the call. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Easy as that. Thanks for being patient with us, Jennifer. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Good evening.
Yes, that's a great show.
Thank you.
Good calls. Good topic. It's a little to unpack. So, I was just thinking about the things that I've heard about it, and I don't know a whole lot, but a few things that stick out when you're just taking in Mars and thinking about it. So it made me think of it. A reason what rang with me first was the cult of Mithra, and because it mentions Mars, and I was researching that earlier this week, and it comes up about the planets themselves and how they are in the Mithra cult. So the Mithra cult comes out of Persia, which is like modern-day Iran. It doesn't come out of there because the term Mithra I guess it's somehow related to Varuna out of the Vedic texts. So, and it's maybe, I think they consider that to be one of the most ancient words out of the Rig Vedas, and in Sanskrit, one of the most ancient words on the planet. And it was one of their gods, of course, in their mythos. But this Mithra cult, so it's like, it spread over into Rome, and it was a major competitor for a while as one of the major religions. But in this cult of Mithra, they believe that the human race, when the soul descends into the body, and this is kind of just what I gather from it, that they descend through the gate of man, which is like, they consider it to be Cancer, the constellation of Cancer. And the soul descends down through it, and it goes through each planet like a gateway in a plane. And as it goes through on its way to this realm, it picks up all this weight, basically, and like accumulates all these different traits that prevent it from, that prepare it for the earth, but also prevent it from going back up to the main source, back where it came from. Anyway, of course, it passes through Mars as well. You have all these impurities or whatever. You live a certain way. If you do it well, you ascend back through all the planes, and you're not stopped anywhere along the way, and you go back up through Capricorn, constellation Capricorn. And that's what they believe. And what's really interesting about that, though, is that if you're going back up through, like as you're going down, you pick up certain energies, and as you're going back out, and it's just this aspect of it, as you're going back out, should you be hindered, almost like being weighed, like in the same mythos as like in Egypt and in many other mythos around the world. As you're going back up, and Mars represents war, we all know that, and the warrior itself, but you'd be stopped there almost if there was some kind of problem, or if something wasn't balanced out in your existence or something with that. And I wondered if that means that in some way, each planet is like haunted in a way by the souls of certain beings. Perhaps even us, not just us, but any soul, So there's, if you think about all the different beings and all the souls, if it's haunted by that certain type of energy, it could be a curse. Another aspect of it too, though, is that we can't, when we talk about Mars itself, and you think about the limitations of us as a species, about the eyeball itself, and all of the different senses that we have, that we can't see everything, no matter how hard we try, no matter how good our telescope. And it's possible that Mars right now is, even if it's not a solid place, is occupied and is a world of some kind, and that there's activity occurring there as we speak, and that there is something to be seen, but we can't see it because we're this certain type of being in this certain type of realm. So there could be life and activity going on, and we won't see it no matter how good the telescope, because we are on a certain spectrum. The same as you can't see microbes and things like that. It's just something I was wondering about. Another thing, so it could be occupied. One, and it's very likely. As far as there's so many things. There's, in the Saturn myth, that it was one of the moons of Saturn, as well as the Earth was one of the moons of Saturn at one point, and that was our sun. And then we were one of the 9 moons of Saturn. And that's interesting, too, as far as the idea that it could have been occupied and that there were other beings like ourselves. I don't know what I mean by beings like ourselves, but it was occupied by living things that we would also feel were kind of like us, alive. There was life. So that's a possibility. Another one is that Mars itself and all the planets, and this is something I was just thinking about also, that as the planets we're all in orbit, and the Earth we're in our position, that the sun, as it but emanates through all the different orbs, the spheres, that it casts the energy onto the earth. And this is the concept of astrology, that casts the energy, a shadow basically, making the earth itself, each one of those planets, when we are in alignment with it, so that we are affected and under the influence of that planet, because the energy of the sun, the power of the entire galaxy, our universe right here, is shining through those planets and onto us, because we're in alignment with it, or it's reflecting this way or that way. There's that. Now, the other thing, the ancient idea of there having been, in the Rig Vedas, there's a lot of references, not a lot, but enough to draw attention to, that they did engage in some kind of nuclear warfare. There are accounts of pottery shattering, birds turning white and falling out of the sky, people on some kind of on fire somehow from some and a bomb or something so loud, and so many thousands of suns, that kind of thing. An explosion, references to it. The same as in the Bible, they talk about it. And they found high radioactivity around the Dead Sea, coming off the springs and everything. They believe, some scientists speculate, there may have been an ancient nuclear war. Oppenheimer himself, when asked, references and says, a student asked him if something about, it being the first nuclear explosion or, successful atomic explosion, whatever. And he says, in modern times, insinuating that it had been done, possibly. People wondered, had it been done before? You mean it's the first time in modern times? Because he also made the reference to the Rig Vedas when he talked about I've become like death and so forth, when they were successful with the atomic bomb. They have also found in South America and in India, not to mention all the signs of a very advanced technological race, definitely mimicking our own, probably capable of interstellar travel. Or at least, getting around in the galaxy, because you have, they found what looks like airplanes or models of airplanes in South America. You have the same depictions on the Egyptian, in their reliefs, the Tesla light bulb. People have seen that stuff if they watched any of that. And it's interesting because the battery, I can't remember what the first word is, the Baghdad battery, that it's effective, and they've used it to light up the Tesla bulb, basically the giant light bulb seen in the Egyptian and even in Sumeria. So we have signs that there was, and there's the Vimanas and everything, that during that time period of the Rig Veda, that they're in the Vedic, thing, that they were extremely advanced, probably as advanced as we are. And you have the references to the fallen ones too. And people think about this, I've read some stuff about this, and it talks about that they were fallen because when the nuclear battle, whatever it was that happened, that they had to go underground, and while the rest stayed in heaven, type of thing. And I've heard about that in mythos, that they went underground when that all happened because they couldn't live on the surface. And that's why here on the Earth, there's references to that. There's also references to the fallen ones being from the constellation Orion. But it does make you wonder if there's some kind of a reflection process, or if there was some kind of interstellar war of some kind. Like I say, I just think possibly that we can't see what's on that sphere, what's going on that planet, because our eyes cannot see it, possibly on that whatever spectrum it's operating on. And I don't know that I believe I don't follow a lot of, I do actually, I follow a lot of mainstream science, but at the same time, I don't know, I've not done. When I looked at my telescopes at Mars, it's very, because of the dust storms, and it's very hazy, and it looks kind of like a ghost. Curses, I think, are caused by, there's multiple reasons it would happen. Terrible things happen in one location. multiple deaths in one location. But a lot of people think that moment, that place is cursed. But it could also be that there's something there that was the initial cause of the curse, a being, an event that took place there. But I also wonder about the souls passing through. If the souls, if something about that being stuck in that plane, that it may appear to be a curse, the energy of it, or it just is which would make sense about the astrological aspect too, that when the sun's energy shines through that sphere, it casts that kind of energy onto the earth itself because it's so haunted with that type of energy. Curses can be broke. Most people don't even, when people talk about curses, they're not even sure they have been cursed, There's it's a lot about curses. That's like a whole thing. But with the Mars thing and having it, does it have a curse on it? I think the very energy of itself is the curse. Because if we take into account the mythos in every culture when it talks about Mars, it's an energy of war. And so I think that's how they like to describe it. And if there's anything to be taken from that, and also with the astrology aspect of it, that's the energy it puts out. But not just war. I mean, there's other energies involved with it too, but just that aspect of what it would take the energy it takes to engage in war, for example. And if certain souls, if that's anything to the Mithra thing, which I don't know. I'm just saying that's interesting that they have that kind of belief. But the Cathars believe in things like that as well. There's just all this stuff around the world believing in that. And then the ancient, I don't know. That's all. I'm kind of scattered there. But
that's okay. That's okay.
There's a lot with Mars. I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah,
there's a lot
sure.
with it. That's all I can think of to know about it right now. But, yeah, it could be cursed in a way because of the very nature of the thing.
Gotcha. All right. Perfect. Your timing is perfect because we're just about out of time here. Jennifer here, great stuff as always. She's got a YouTube channel.
Good.
Please check it out. Link is in the description down below. Give her a follow. Thank you for the phone call, Jennifer. Always a pleasure. Have a fantastic night, okay?
Absolutely. Great show. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot. You too. There you go. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. But we're out of time. So here's what we're going to do, right? You guys know the drill. Thank you guys for everybody out there for listening. And thank you for all the amazing chat out there, all the positive energy and all the great phone calls as always. Like I said, it's our cup runneth over because we have so many great people to listen to this show and contribute on a nightly basis. And it turns this entire thing really on its head, doesn't it? We start out with an idea of a curse on Mars. Is it real? Is it not? I don't know. It's not really about that, is it? It's about discussing and thinking and maybes. We deal in maybes here. So hopefully you had a good time and it stretched your brain a little bit and made you forget about work for just a moment because, well, that's important too. As you know, we're finished. That's the bad news. The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. And of course, it ends like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. All right, welcome back. We're going to keep on doing our thing. Third hour's for you. So what are your thoughts here? Like I said, we can talk about curses too, like Jennifer said, and like Daryl was talking about too. I think there's a lot of fascinating let's say ideas regarding curses and whatnot. Energy, again, do you have to know you're cursed? Can curses be stopped? Things like this, right? There's a really, really lot of fascinating things to think about and talk about. And of course, Mars. That's what we're talking about tonight. Is Mars itself actually cursed? And so we'll get to I didn't think of doing this before we started the show, but just now I looked up the moon landing success rates. So we'll take a look at that and actually compare and see if there's maybe a correlation here, or if maybe Mars itself is cursed. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This Excuse me, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. 2-minute break. 2-minute break. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. We got Matt in Colorado on the line, and of course I can't say it. I'm tongue-tied. Your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Okay. Hey, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're doing our thing. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we're taking your phone calls as we discuss the idea of curses. Hey, why not? Not just curses, but what about the curse on Mars? Now, they say that there's a very, very low success rate of landing, not just sticking orbiters in orbit, but also landing, let's say, Mars landers and rovers and all the rest of this, to the tune of 41% around 2016. They've got some successes since then. They're up over 50% at a pretty low 52%. But again, is that impressive? Is that still an acceptable number? I don't know. I think that's the question, right? I did look up the moon landing numbers to kind of compare and see what the statistics there were. And we'll talk about it in just a sec, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think curses are real? Do you think it's possible there could actually be a curse on Mars whatsoever? What does any of this even mean? Or is this just something fun to think about? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Let's go to, looks like, who is this? Let's see. Did the phone drop? No. It's the same number. I got, hey, how do you call me twice on the same phone? Let's go to this. What's up, Matt in Colorado? Are you there? Test 1, 2. I don't think so. Yeah, that was super weird. Like literally 2 calls from the same number at the same time. Let's try the other one. You got magic, my friend. You got some magic. Matt in Colorado. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend? Test.
Hey, Mike. I'm sorry. I had a technical glitch with my coaxial cable coming out of the cave. It sent 2 different signals at the same time.
That's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go right ahead. You said you had some other ideas here.
Well, every time Jennifer gets on, my brain starts going, and I just think so much like she does. And some of the things I touched on, I even mentioned that, maybe there's still conscious beings on Mars, but maybe just not physical. And then she was talking about trickling down through from Capricorn and descending down. And she even said, and I wrote it down and put it in quotes, that's possible that, Mars is occupied, but we can't see them. We can't see them with our telescope. They're in a different frequency or spectrum. And I totally agree with that. And, a couple things, the Gaia hypothesis, let's think about a lot of people had personal experiences, so they know that the Earth is a living being and entity. Okay, well, what about the sun? It's like, 3.5 million times larger than Earth? Maybe it's a living, conscious being. Maybe that's why they, in Egypt, worship the sun and Ra. And, okay, well, if the Earth's a conscious being and the sun's a conscious being and there's maybe some other level of reality than just the physical, just what can be seen with telescopes and spacecraft and, orbiting and Mars rovers and stuff like that. Maybe there's beings, life forms, consciousness, etc., that they're just in a different phase, right? They're in a different dimension. They're in a different spectrum. And maybe there are those inhabitants still. And maybe they're on Saturn. Maybe they're on Jupiter. And, Jupiter was almost the sun. It was darn close. It's almost big enough. And, it's a gaseous giant. And so when you think about it from that perspective, and I'm taking Night Stalker's elevator and what Jennifer said, and you go, well, okay, well, maybe there's beings populating these planets still. Maybe that has to do with the curse on Mars. Like I was saying, don't come here, but it's not necessarily physical. It's interdimensional or in a different phase. And that could be taking place on Earth too. Maybe that explains ghost or UFO stuff or Bigfoot stuff or, whatever. That, just be, let's not focus so much on the physical stuff we can touch because, energy and consciousness goes beyond that. And, I want to share a quick story that, Robert had called in and talked about going back and forth from Mars to Earth, and now we're going to go back and forth. And this is a story I heard. Doesn't matter the source. It's a story. I had reasons to trust and believe the source, but they talked about this ancient planet that was called Maldek, and it was in our solar system. And they blew themselves up, millions of years ago or whenever. And that is what is now our asteroid belt. And that asteroid belt is the debris from a planet that literally blew itself physically apart. Then the story goes that these souls and beings that were on Maldek were basically relocated. They called them the wayward Maldekians. Okay, and Jennifer mentioned the fallen ones, in those belief systems that she touched on. So these wayward Maldekians, they were sort of the fallen ones of Maldek. Okay, so they were relocated to Mars because that was the place that people could live and breathe and incarnate and survive at that time. Okay, so off they go on Mars for however, million years or whatever. Well, guess what? Just like the Robert said, they repeated the same thing. They didn't learn their lesson. And what'd they do? They went to battle on Mars and set off some nukes, blew up their atmosphere, made it so they couldn't live there. Well, okay, what do we do with these guys now? And I was kind of talking about that before, whether it was, their souls or spirits got relocated to Earth. Maybe they became in craft, maybe both. Oh, okay, let's put them on Earth. What do we do with these guys? And then, just like the Robert was saying, now we're dangerously close, perhaps, to repeating the same thing. And the thing is, these are the ancient Martians that were the ancient Maldekians that just haven't learned their lesson. They're just these, violent dudes that can't help themselves with, blowing stuff up. And that's not all the beings on Earth. There's other beings, like Jennifer was saying, that maybe came from other star systems and came down, that they're, maybe more enlightened, more peaceful souls or whatever. So I love hearing Jennifer. She was saying a lot of things that I was thinking. She always takes it to a little deeper level. She speaks a little slower and collects her thoughts better than I do. And just to touch on the curses, I think James was talking about and trying to give an example of two types of curses, ones you know about and ones you don't. And the way I interpreted what he was saying, and maybe I'm correct, maybe I'm not, but I think what he was saying, like the curses you know about, those can influence your mind. Those can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like if you know you're being cursed, then your own sort of creative force and your own belief is going to start to interplay and might make them come true. Then there's curses that you don't know anything about. And are those real? Can those happen? And it reminded me of this story I heard, decades ago. I don't know if it's a true story. I remember reading about it. Somebody could look it up and Google it. But I remember the story goes that when they, broke into Tutankhamun's crypt or, burial or a tomb, when they broke in, apparently there was a curse on it. They didn't know about that curse, okay? But they broke in, and the story goes that within 4 years or 5 years, of the 26 people that went inside that tomb, 24 of them were dead within 4 years. Boom, you're toast. That guy laid down some curse on there, you disturb my tomb, I will reach from the beyond and extinguish you. Yeah. I don't know if it's a true story, but it's interesting. And that's the other side of the curse, because like Jennifer was saying, she used the term immortal beings, and if those exist, it doesn't matter that they're dead in a tomb or that their civilization was destroyed on Mars 1,000 years ago or whatever. They still have power. They still have consciousness. Maybe they can still affect things. I mean, you have to wonder, right? So those were the things that, Robert made me think about and Jennifer made me think about. And, that's what I wanted to call back in and share about.
Fantastic. I appreciate it. Good thoughts there. Maldek is not one of those ones I'm very familiar with. I just pulled this up. I'll read this quick little blurb so familiarize myself and some other folks too. But great stuff as always. Matt, I'm actually going to get your book and link it down with everybody else's as well. So it's not there right now, but I'll drop it in the chat. Give our good friend Matt in Colorado some love too. He's got a book. He's got a coupon code. I'm not sure if that's run out yet. I think he said he was giving away 50 copies. So I'll drop the link in the chat. And once again, thanks, Matt. I appreciate your enthusiasm for this show, your ability to sort of flex your brain around all the ideas, and you fit right in. So thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the amazing phone calls, my friend.
Well, thanks for letting me back in. It's always my pleasure. And if anybody does get my book, there's actually a chapter in the book that is almost verbatim what Jennifer was talking about of the descent down Capricorn. And I'd never even heard of that stuff. I wasn't exposed to it, but that, perhaps came through some personal experiences, or it was just my own confirmation that maybe that's kind of how stuff works. I don't know. Something to think about. Right on. Appreciate it. Have a fantastic night, bro. Talk to you soon. There you go. Matt in Colorado. Okay, bye. Thanks a lot. Good friend of mine, good friend of the show. So look at that. Good stuff. Look, third hour's for you guys, 702-957-1037. We're talking about curses. We're talking about Mars. We're talking about the curse on Mars. I'll pull up the stats again for the moon landings and see if there's some sort of correlation here, or if it's maybe there's much ado about nothing regarding the Mars curse. I'll keep you on tenterhooks a little bit for that. Great calls already from everybody. And again, we got time for you. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubledminds.org. Let me read this real quick, and then we'll go check in with Matt and Daryl as well. This is Maldek. This is what Matt was just talking about. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, there was another planet in this solar system about the size of Earth, which made its orbit between Mars and Jupiter. It was a green, prosperous world inhabited by a people who had not reached a state of really advanced culture, but had nevertheless attained a stage which afforded an abundance of necessities, which made life comparatively comfortable for all. And this is from aetherius.com, AETHERIUS, .org, not .com. So here we go. They studied the philosophies and dabbled in the sciences as we do, except that these people were more advanced in many ways than we are. The planet was so highly mechanized that robots took care of all the menial tasks. The inhabitants had discovered a rudimentary form of space travel and could control their weather so that drought and famine became long forgotten. The majority, having an abundance of food and having no menial tasks to perform, soon became content to while away their time in the sun. They became, in comparison with higher planetary cultures, a selfish, lackadaisical people seeking after their own enjoyment, as do the majority of people on Earth today. Then the disease came. It apparently started subtly in the minds of those few men of science who shunned the procrastinating majority in a fervent search for material conquest, thus leaving themselves open to the incurable affliction. The mental disease manifested itself as a lust for greater power, and they found it. They exploded a hydrogen bomb and completely destroyed the planet Maldek and murdered the whole populace in one blinding flash of searing flame. All that is now left of the beautiful planet is the asteroid belt. So I didn't know that. Again, like I said, this is one source, and I'm sure that's probably right, and more complicated than that because sources are sources as they do, of course. And so yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about curses in general? What do you think about Mars itself? Do you think that there's something to this, or do you think this is just an exercise in WTF, because that's what we do on Troubled Minds? Let's check back in with James. He's been quite the longest there. How you doing, James? How's everything going, my man?
I'm okay. Great calls. Yeah, I really loved all the calls, and everyone touched on kind of more of what I was thinking, but couldn't figure out how to say, I guess, or I don't know. But yeah, I've always felt like if you think of all the weird things that they say are here on Earth, whether it's ghosts or cryptids or aliens or whatever, why can't all of that be out there and everywhere else. You know, including non-physical beings, you know, that are just made of energy, or they have a physical existence, but it's just, again, slightly off base of ours. There's different phases. They're not quite here, but they're partially here, but they can still have effects here, just as maybe, and this is kind of something to think about, maybe we have effects on other places as well. So if you look at it that way, so yeah, I that's what I was thinking about with Mars, is that maybe even if there's nothing there, and I love what Jennifer brought up too. Again, just real quick, is that we only know what we can see, what we know. We only know what we know. So who knows what else could be there that could be possibly affecting things, whether it's sentient or even not. Again, going back, like I said, to places where things just don't seem to work. And you have to wonder why. And some people trace it back to bad events that happened in the location. Other people trace it back to that, plus individuals that were there that had bad things happen to them at a place, and then they cursed the place. There's a lot to that, and just here on Earth. So imagine taking that to another level with these other places. What kind of different energies they could have available to them.
Yeah, indeed. Good stuff there. And to kind of back you up, Joseph Campbell, there's a quote from Joseph Campbell I saved from a few days ago. This tweeted by Jenna at EEPERSIP33, EEPERSIP33. Quote, I would say that this is the basic theme of all mythology, that there is an invisible dimension supporting the visible one. And I think that that's kind of right in line with what you were saying there, James. Pretty good stuff. I had that one for a rainy day because I thought it was a fantastic quote, and I do love Joseph Campbell very much.
Yeah, and that's the basis of so many, even just modern fiction. You know, if you look at Stephen King, his whole, not only talking about the whole multiverse idea, but there are some stories, a couple of his stories, that The Talisman and Black House, where there is this other dimension that is it's similar to ours, but it's different, and it's what happens here and what happens there can have effects on the other location. Specifically, in fact, traveling between these dimensions can cause massive energy transfers and maybe even explosions in the place that you're leaving. So yeah, that's been around. Those ideas have been around for a long time, I think.
Yep, and very good stuff as usual, James. And who knows? Maybe that's exactly what's going on. There is more happening out there that we cannot see, and I think that's what's fascinating to talk about this stuff. Appreciate it, my friend. Thanks for chiming in and giving us your thoughts on that. Again, James, Salcedo Paranormal Podcast. Check it out. Links in the description down below. Give my friend James a follow, pretty please. He's a good dude, and he's doing good work over there on his podcast. Daryl, anything to add to this? To anything that anybody said, or anything else? If not, that's cool. I got tons of stuff to get into. You tell me.
No, I was going to save it for the end anyway.
Okay, perfect.
I'll save it for the end.
Okay, sounds good. All right, guys, we're still looking to hear from you. Third hour's from you. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Just burn through a list real quick of these Mars missions that never made it, right? This is from Seeker.com, and here we go. Here's some of the ones, and this is what makes you raise your eyebrow, right? We got August 1st, 2012. We got, let's see, this is what a scientist says, right? More often than not, Earthlings lose. Quote, you can't test and entry, descent and landing system end-to-end on Earth. It's the wrong gravity, the wrong atmospheric structure, so a lot of this is analysis is analysis, and that is why Mars wins an awful lot of the time, said NASA's Mars program chief Doug McQuistion. Even if the engineering is perfect, Mother Nature has a mean streak on Mars. Quote, the atmosphere blooms, you can get dust storms, you can get wind. We don't have the capability to predict those things, McQuistion said. Here's a look at some of the most famous Mars flops, and this was actually written way back in 2012. Mariner 3. The Soviet Union has not only launched the first satellite and the first person in space, it also dispatched the first probes to Mars. 4 of those early forays, which took place between October 1960 and November 1962, never made it out of Earth orbit. The 5th spacecraft's radio failed en route to the Red Planet. NASA followed up in November 1964 with its Mariner 3 spacecraft, but didn't fare any better. The protective shroud covering the probe failed to open, dooming the mission. See, there we go. So we got 0 for 4 out of the gate for Russia, and that tells you something, right? It tells you that maybe there is a curse here. Maybe there's not. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I believe in curses, to be perfectly honest. But I think, like I said, the universe doesn't give a damn what I believe. It's going to do what it does, and I think that's why we talk about this stuff, because I am not the arbiter of that truth. So once again, got a few more of these I can read and tons of stuff to get into. 702-957-1037. What do you guys think? Or click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Let's see, what else do we got? There's more. Let's go to Mars 3. After 8 failed missions, the Soviets had a bit of luck with Mars 3. Look at 8 in a row they failed. The Soviets had a bit of luck with Mars 3, an orbiter and lander that arrived on December 3rd, 1971. But before the celebrations could begin, the party was over. The lander lasted less than 20 seconds before an unknown technical problem cut off communications with Earth. Half of one picture was received. The glitch also killed plans for deployment of a tiny tethered rover. The orbiter fared better despite being put into a loopy orbit because of a fuel shortage. In addition to pictures, the probe sent back information about the planet's temperature, atmosphere, and dust storms. But you check that, right? So, 20 seconds, they succeeded, but then an unknown technical problem cut off communications with Earth. So we got, right, a whole bunch of different things happening here. Sometimes you can't even make it out of the atmosphere of Earth. Sometimes you can't even, when you land, communications get mysteriously cut off, right? So it starts to seem spooky at some point. And I think that's the thing, right? So we've had success landing on the moon at this point. And so, well, at least they tell us. And so, well, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? What's going on? Cubes over there on Rockfin says, love the call-ins on this show. Always good. Yep, 100%. Like I say, our cup runneth over with amazing people. We're blessed to have such great folks. Let's go back over to YouTube and say hi. I hope everybody's doing well. What's going on, guys? What do we got? Let's see. Robert, he says, add those 22 likes to show your appreciation for our hardworking host. Take a fraction of a second to click that like button. Thank you, Robert. That's very nice. It's very nice. Have a good night, Fred. Thanks for hanging out. What's up, Matt? APOC is here. What's up, Lily? What's going on, guys? Daryl, I'm just reading the chat, catching up with you guys and seeing what's going on. Let's see. Matt says, I agree. All celestial bodies are alive. That's an interesting one, too. The Gaia hypothesis. And then maybe Mars has something similar. Maybe, yeah. Interesting. What's up? MB says, I personally believe the Earth is flat. Fair enough. That's all good. I'm not gonna argue with you. What's up? What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing well out there. Matt says the planet Tiamat, and that's an interesting thing too. What's up? What's going on? What's going on? The curse. Oh, we got a curse, APOC? Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Let's check the link here. There we go. Yeah, the curse of the mummy, right? King Tut. The archaeologist Howard Carter died on March 2nd, 1939. You guys, yeah, there you go. Thanks for the link on that, on exactly what Matt was talking about. And I guess that brings up another interesting point regarding curses. You think they're real? That's the thing, right? Because we haven't talked a ton about that just yet, but it seems like I'm going to go with a solid maybe. And what that means is that I don't know clearly, but it does seem that maybe there's some sort of energy transfer, like maybe James was talking about. Maybe something like this, I don't know, exists. Maybe there is some sentience that we can't see that's, where a curse is a curse, of course, you know what I mean? And so they kind of blast it through, and we were just the recipient of bad juju or whatever. I have no idea. But what are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Thanks for sharing that. Just read a couple more of these because it's kind of a little bit boring. But like I said, hey, third hour's for you. No calls. I'll just keep on reading boring stuff. Take that. The punishment. Here we go. Mars Observer. It took the United States 17 years to follow up its successful Viking missions with a sophisticated orbiter to give scientists a more global view of Mars. The one-ton Mars Observer was successfully launched on September 25th, 1992. Disaster struck 11 months later when the probe, just 3 days away from arrival, fell silent. An accident investigation determined a rupture in the spacecraft's propellant system was most likely to blame. Science instruments developed for Mars Observer were remade for future probes. And there you go, right? And there's a lot here. There's like some really, really weird ones too, where you're like, wait, what? Like, how did that happen? But it makes me wonder, is there an actual curse on Mars? What do you guys think? What do you think? What do you think? You tell me. Let's see. Back to the chat. What's going on, guys? Yep. Good calls from everybody. Appreciate that. What's up, Ketzelman? How you doing? Says, words are spells that sometimes make curses. Indeed. James adds, it wasn't part of King Tut's curse due to gases that came out of it when it was open, potentially poisonous. I think, there's something to that. Some sort of, here we go. Let's read this. Here we go. So the discovery created a worldwide press sensation. This is the King Tut. Late in 1922, the British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, who died in 1323 BC at about age 18 in the Valley of Kings across from the Nile, from Luxor in Egypt. We also have a Luxor here in Vegas, by the way. It's just not as nice, let's say. Anyway, we got blah, 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 blah. Okay, so no curse had actually been found in the tomb, but deaths in succeeding years of various members of Carter's team and real or supposed visitors to the site kept the story alive, especially in the cases of death by violence or in odd circumstances. Alleged victims of the mummy's curse included Prince Ali Kamel Fahmy Bey of Egypt, shot dead by his wife in 1923. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, who supposedly x-rayed the mummy and died mysteriously in 1924. Sir Lee Stack, the Governor General of the Sudan, was assassinated in Cairo in 1924. Arthur Mace of Carter's excavation team said to have died of arsenic poisoning in 1928. Carter's secretary, Richard Bethel, who supposedly died smothered in his bed in 1929. And his father, who committed suicide in 1930. So I don't know. That sounds pretty horrific to me. Curse enough for a curse? The curse of the pharaohs. No idea. All kinds of stuff to talk about. We'll get to the numbers on the moon landing and everything else. How's everybody doing tonight? What's going on out there? Test 1 2. We got all the thumbs up. All the things. We've done all the things. I appreciate it very much. And thanks, Robert, for popping over and doing the thing. What's up? Kay says, Mars is a death trap. How you doing, Kay? King Tut should have won a Grammy. Buried in his jammies. Damn it. Ronald says this too. Damn it, Ronald. Always damn it, Ronald. The Peanut Gallery over on Rockfan. He says, cheerleaders worship Ra too. They're always screaming his name. That's right. Damn it, Ronald. Damn it, Ronald. Why? Always the corny jokes, but I got to tell you, Ronald's jokes make me giggle just a little bit. What do you guys think? Curse on Mars, real or not? Do you think curses are real? 702-957-1037. Let's see. There's more, too. Let's go to, speaking of Egypt and Ra and the rest of this, they're calling this door on Mars a doorway to a tomb or something like this, right? They're calling it an Egyptian-style tomb. And I found it interesting that I was pulling this up and was like, tomb, maybe? I mean, they keep calling it this, but it's not the first time, right? This Scott Waring dude, again, he's like I said, the godfather of ancient astronaut theorists say yes. This guy reported way back on May 2nd of 2019 that they had a tomb on Mars and actually just out there for everybody to see, right? So it isn't the first time they actually described a tomb, an actual tomb on Mars. Is it? It definitely looks peculiar. I don't know if this image has been doctored, and that's part of the problem with some of these clickbait artists. And I'm not saying he is in particular. I do say that he's got a lot of, let's say, he drinks a ton of maybe juice, right? And that's fine. I mean, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But Tomb on Mars, maybe. I mean, maybe, right? But I just don't know if the image has been tampered. I'd have to go fact check that myself. But yeah, there's a lot here, a lot to talk about, a lot to think about, and we'll get to Alalu and the face on Mars. If you haven't heard of that, we'll get to that in just a sec. But before we do that, like I said, last hour is for you. 702-957-1037. Check this out. This is the data that I got from the Mars, the moon landings, okay? And this is exactly what they say about our success rate. Now, I was a little surprised to see this, right? Considering that there's actually what would you say? They say it's a curse on Mars because it's a 52% rate currently, success rate currently. But look at this. This is according to, let's see, what is this article? This is the Hindu Times. No, the Hindu.com. Sorry, the Hindu.com. And here's the actual success rate of moon landings. All right. Now, I think we've got a miserable track record from the USSR with only 28.6% successful landings. But overall, we've got 47 total moon landings, supposedly, and 46.8% successful. So doesn't that sort of track with the Mars stuff? That seems to be kind of spot on, right? So I don't know. I think there's an interesting thing here where you're just like, yeah, exactly, by the terrible joke, right? Yeah, no. So, but look at this. So if you remove Russia from the list, which is just failure after failure, they, as we said, the first several they just botched and couldn't get to Mars at all, or the moon in this case either. 28 missions, and they only succeeded, 28% of the time. Yeah, partially successful, 7.1%. But yeah, so I mean it tracks. But I guess, like I said, the Russian old school Soviet Union was bringing the whole world down as far as unsuccessful moon landings. So I don't know. Like I said, who do you believe? What do you believe? Is any of this real? I have no idea. 702-957-1037. Let's get to Alalu, by the way. You guys heard of the face on Mars, right? The actual pareidolia, the face. You guys remember that? Very famous, infamous even, where they say that, okay, if you look at the thing, it's, shadows and light and, it's playing tricks on us, and we see a face on Mars. But it's not actually a face on Mars, right? It's something else, right? It's something else, right? What's up, James? Let me know if you want to break mic. You can jump in. Appreciate that, my friend. Yeah, right? Rah, 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 rah. Rah, 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 rah. Exactly right. That's what's up. Let's see what's going on. Yeah. Okay. So that's what's up. I don't know. Regarding all the rest of this stuff, a curse on Mars, I'm not so sure. It is fun to talk about, fun to think about the actual curse, but maybe not. Maybe when we look at the actual numbers of the moon missions and look at it that way, maybe it isn't as compelling as we thought to begin with. So that's my fault entirely. What's up? Let's see. Did you know? There you go. The Robert. Now we're talking. Did you know January 7th, 2023 is National Fart Day? Google it. Yeah. I didn't know that. I don't need an excuse. I'll make whatever day I want National Fart Day, my friend. All right. Let's go. It looks like, is this Matt? Matt in Colorado. What's up? You're on Troubled Minds. Who are you? Matt, right?
Yeah.
Matt, what's up?
Yeah, Matt in Colorado.
What's up, buddy? Go ahead.
Well, not too much. If anybody wasn't calling in, I was like, hey, let's kick some stuff around. The other night I mentioned the sun tonight, and the other night I took like a page of notes on the sun, and I don't know, that could be interesting to talk about. But like I said, if the Earth's a conscious being, maybe the sun's a conscious being. I myself have done meditations and tried to communicate with the sun. I got some pretty cool answers. Seemed like. And the other thing about the sun, it's what is the most abundant element in the entire universe that also happens to be the only element that doesn't have a neutron, the only element without a neutron. And it's the simplest element, and it's the first element on the periodical table of elements, right? I don't mean to quiz you, not a riddle, but you got to guess?
No. No. Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. Hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
Okay? Hydrogen
Yes.
has no neutron. Yeah. Hydrogen has no neutron, so its proton actually serves as a neutron. Okay. Its atomic number is 1 because it only has 1 electron. It's the simplest element in the periodic table. It's the most abundant element in the universe, and like 94% of our sun is composed of hydrogen. Okay? So now, what powers the universe? Well, the suns do. They emit all the light. They emit all frequencies of energy and radiation. All the planets, circle them. They have the gravity. So the universe runs on suns, and suns run on hydrogen. Huh. Now, if you were thinking about if the universe is all powered by hydrogen and we want to power planet Earth and cars and light bulbs, maybe what should we use? How about hydrogen? Hello? That's how the universe works. And, there's a very easy method to take water, which is H2O, and the 2 means there's 2 molecules of hydrogen, and separate it into the 2 hydrogens and the oxygen, which forms what's called HHO gas. And that process is called electrolysis. I've made it in my house. I've experimented with it. There's occasionally you can see videos of people driving their cars around and say, this car runs on water. That's what they're doing. And so, hydrogen is abundant. And, they say the sea levels are rising, right? Well, we got 2/3 of the planet's covered in water. We got water. We got hydrogen up the wazoo. That's the energy solution right there. That's how the universe runs. I mean, what could be more obvious? Run stuff on hydrogen. They had up in Canada, all their buses ran on hydrogen. They would compress the hydrogen, but they have systems where they can make it on demand. I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day. I took some notes on it. I thought about it for a long time. I've experimented with it. And, what do you think? It's pretty simple, right?
Well, you would hope. I mean, I don't know. I think that the world is an upside down place, and the simple answers seem to go by the wayside. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I haven't thought a ton about it, to be perfectly honest. So you win this time, my friend. I have no idea. Simple is good, though. I'll give you that.
Well, the problem is if we switch to hydrogen, which, like I said, through hydrolysis is incredibly easy to produce, and you can do it on demand, well, then we wouldn't need to be buying oil and petroleum and gasoline and doing coal plants. Well, what's that going to do to the economy? Well, we can't, it would disturb and turn everything upside down. So, we can't have that, right?
Exactly. Good point. I appreciate you chipping back in. Good stuff as always, Matt. I'm gonna get to Alalu. All right, before we close this out. Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. You're the best, bro.
You bet.
Thanks a lot. Have a great night. That's Matt in Colorado. Here we go. Look, this is. I want to point this out real quick. This is one of those weird ones. That's like, back in 1976, the Viking 1 mission returned photos of the face on Mars, right? And you guys have all seen this photograph, and it's compelling enough to be like, yeah, that seems like that's a face. It totally seems like it's a face. And you zoom it in and you look around, you're like, yeah, solid, right? And they said, trick of the light, shadows, pareidolia, all the rest of that. And yeah, maybe, right? So this is a 1976 version of this photograph that you guys have seen, the face on Mars, right? Well, this is the what is this? When was this actually done? High resolution, a taken by Viking 1, and this is the actual face on Mars, they say, without the tricks of shadow and light. Now, the weird part is that if you look at this, it still seems almost structure-like, right? Almost like, to me, like it's one of those things where we've talked about this in the past, of course, as well. And where's Kelly? Because Kelly's the guy who actually pointed this out to me. If you look at this thing, it does seem sort of structure-like. Maybe not pyramid style, but definitely seems to be something going on with this where it doesn't seem like, I don't know, maybe natural. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. But if you look, right, so you got back to this original photograph, you have the face, right? You got craters around it a little bit, and these other sort of, I don't know, blobs or something, whatever you would call these things, volcanic something or others. But they don't look like this. They don't look in the same sort of spatially, sort of flat, sort of rectangular. And so some speculation has been that this is Zecharia Sitchin's actual Alalu, right, out of the burial of the great Anunnaki king, right, the stepfather of, I believe it's Enki. And so this in this particular space is maybe, right? I don't know. I find it fascinating that the Zecharia Sitchin stuff and the ancient astronaut theory and a lot of that is sort of locked in with that idea that they had interesting, let's say, aliens that actually used Mars as what they called a way station. Okay, so I don't know. This gets deep, and when you start going into Alalu and some of this other stuff, I was reading up on this tonight, and it's fascinating. What do you guys believe regarding this ancient alien theory? And let's keep on trucking. So past that, I'll add that to the list of questions. 702-957-1037. Just in brief, if not, there's more. There's pretty fascinating stuff to continue. Right? You guys remember the Stargate project, and this is where things get super weird, right? And this is what I was talking about earlier, and when I said that, do you believe that maybe at some point in the past that there was a civilization on Mars? And some remote viewers, in particular Joe McMoneagle of Stargate Project, if you remember this story, he said that 1 million years ago, there were tall entities on Mars, and they remote viewed it, and they thought they would screw with the guy by giving him some coordinates on Mars, but he was picking things up and seeing things. All right, check this out. So this is from the sun.co.uk, which I'm told is trash. What's up? My UK friends are like, Mike, why do you use the sun? They're trash. Because sometimes it's funny. Listen to this. The CIA used alleged psychics in a bizarre bid to find aliens on Mars and learn about life on the red planet 1 million years ago. Now check this out. This gets nuts. So here's the thing. The $20 million project became known as Stargate and was set up because the U.S. believed the Soviet Union was investing heavily in similar research. Initially, in a bid to in a bid to read the minds of enemies, a secret army unit based at Fort Meade in Maryland investigated extrasensory perception. We've covered this quite a lot. The agency worked with people who claim to have remote viewing powers, meaning they can see areas and people in different locations without actually being there. Now, this is where it gets nuts. One of the most fascinating experiments took place on May 22nd, 1984. Orwell, anybody? And was simply called Mars Exploration. According to the CIA's own documents, the unnamed psychic described, quote, the planet Mars. Time of interest, approximately 1 million years BC. Scientists believe that life could have existed on the planet millions of years ago, which may explain why the U.S. government wanted data from this time period. The alleged psychic said he could see huge pyramids, an obelisk structure, and road networks on the red planet. He then described a number of shelters visible on the surface. The man said, and this is the quote from Joe McMoneagle, the remote viewer, he said, different chambers, but they're almost stripped of any kind of furnishings or anything. It's like strictly a functional place for sleeping, or that's not a good word, hibernations, some form. I can't get real raw inputs. Storms, savage storm, and sleeping through storms. Asked by a CIA agent who would sleep through the storms, the man claimed, who would actually sleep through the storms? The man claimed to be able to make out an alien race. Continue the quote from Joe McMoneagle, the remote viewer. Very tall, very large people, but they're very thin, he said. They're ancient people. They're dying. It's past their time or age. And so ancient Martians, does it track back to Zecharia Sitchin, back to Alalu, who was possibly buried in a way station on Mars? I don't know. I find it all very fascinating and interesting to think about. And there you go. What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's well. We got one more call. Let's go to this and let's wrap this sucker up. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging in with me. Let's go back to Jennifer. What's up, Jennifer? Thanks for calling. How are you? Go right ahead.
Hey, very cool stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry to call in again, but you're still on. And so, like,
Yeah, no problem,
okay,
no problem.
So
Thank you.
Curses. Yeah, love it. The curses and everything. The alien way station. It is interesting that there seems to be this fixation with that. You have the Egyptians talking about that too, right? I mean, the weighing of the heart. And then you have the Mithra cult talking about the souls ascend up through the spheres, the planets themselves, and each time they go through, depending on the weight of their heart, they may stop and stay right there in their case. Like in the case of Mars being a place that souls are hibernating or staying for some period of time. Maybe it is maybe it's not, but it seems to have been some kind of concept that people were thinking about. And then the curse aspect of things. We curse all the time. Like, it's very interesting. Like, when someone says, like, F you, I just want to bring this up. It's interesting that the person will usually, if they, depending, will say, no, F you, back, sending the curse back, because it's called a curse. You're cursing because you're throwing the energy out, like the energy of the intention out with the word, which is like a spell. The energy is coming from somewhere. And if you take into account that, well, where is it coming from? What influences in the astrological aspect of it? And I'm not into astrology at all. But to consider the idea that if these certain spheres encompass different types of energies, are they where these energies come from? These like immortal energies, influences of these gods in a way. Just the sphere itself is like a gateway to a portal to some other realm that encompasses that entire power that we feel when we're inhabiting it. And then, like, the cursing itself is Mars, since it represents wrath in a way. Is it a source of that type of energy? And does it have that kind of influence, possibly? And people talk about curses all the time. I wasn't sure that it didn't appear to be like a talk about curse show, but when you think about it, there are even ideas that, the whole entire, like the world is cursed. There's talks about that. It goes on, and I don't hold to that at all. But I do believe in curses, because I think that when someone, and the evil eye, I believe in things like that. And people even talk about the, like the throwing the finger. People see that a lot. And if anybody's ever been interested in the Illuminati thing, where they tuck the index finger to the thumb, and they spread the other three fingers remaining out. They fan them out. They think it's a 6 and 666 and that kind of thing. And then they put it over their eye and they look through it, a lot of times in the photography. In pagan belief systems, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this, but it's a way to deflect the evil eye. And it also represents, in some instances, the eye of Odin. So I think it's just very interesting to note that they're trying to deflect curses, because even an evil thought cast your way, many people believe it has power and that it can bring you down. And then there's generational curses as well. But I just thought that was very interesting, that maybe the sphere itself does encompass, in a way, a curse of that kind of energy. You can't really look at Mars and not think of, Mars, the god of war, And even if you upside down the M, it's war. Wars. So it's very strange. Anyway.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my call with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
I do love the correlation between the way station on Mars, the alien way station, and also the Egyptian way station of weighing the heart against a feather. Pretty brilliant stuff, Jennifer. As always, thank you for the call. Thanks for listening. Thanks for jumping in and bailing me out. I appreciate it very much.
Nope. Just saw an opening. I was like, I want to talk about it too. Talk to you later.
Appreciate it. Have a great night. There you go. That's Jennifer in Missouri. Thanks again to Matt and Jennifer for and James, of course, and then Daryl for jumping in and bailing me out. All the other amazing calls. I got to mention the Robert, of course, because I always leave him out. The Robert. You got to click your heels 3 times and say the Robert. So there you go. I think. I don't know. Maybe a little too direct, a little too esoteric. I don't know. Maybe not compelling enough. Maybe the data, as we saw, which I didn't think to check, by the way, regarding the moon landing data in success rates, it seems to track with Mars. Of course, they were started quite a bit earlier with the Viking programs. Or the moon programs than they did with the Viking programs to Mars. So I mean, maybe, I don't know, like maybe it tracks and maybe there's nothing to this. So as always, right, I don't know the answers here, just kind of, I heard there was a Mars curse. I thought, that's fascinating. And, a video game is being developed around it. A friend of mine and myself kicking in and helping where I can. And it's interesting. It's going to be a shooter on Mars. And so I thought we'd base it around some of the lore on a Mars curse, because I thought it was a fun idea. So anyway, just that's the thing. So I appreciate each and everybody listening, everybody out there. I'm reading the chat. I see you guys. I see the lurkers and everything else going on, and I appreciate all the phone calls. Like I said, always bailing my ass out. Very, very, very good stuff. Let's go back to James, and then we'll finish with Daryl, and let's get the hell out of here. Let's duck and duck. What's up, James? I'll try not to curse.
That's a lot of duck.
That's a lot of duck, dude. Hey, duck and duck. What do you think? Curses?
I'd say I do like, what you said earlier. Just maybe. I think there are the circumstances can combine to make for what appear to be curses, and then there can be actual things that are I think there can be intentional and then unintentional, and I think we have no way of knowing for sure what, if any, the case is on Mars as of yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm waiting for Elon to show up and then the little green man to step out and shake his hand, and then things will change. But until then, I guess we've only got the Elon and the book from Werner von Braun that predicted the Elon would arrive on Mars and start a government, which is super weird too. A super weird correlation to all the rest of this. Great stuff, James. I appreciate it. You still got that outro for us?
I do.
Okay, let's go back to Daryl, and then we'll do that. Daryl, you there? Test 1 2.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay. I was thinking, if we had a nuclear explosion on our planet, and it's probably, if it's according to like what Jennifer said, it could have been within the last 5,000 years. And look how the Earth looks now. It looks pretty good. We kind of bounced back. Now, if Mars had a nuclear explosion 1 million years ago, it still looks crappy. Why didn't they, repopulate or, the flora, the fauna? Nothing came back. It still looks desolate. It looks terrible. I don't know why Elon wants to go there. It doesn't look like it's that abundant with life, or, unless we're not seeing it. But I don't see it didn't come back like the way Earth did, Maybe it got really destroyed. Maybe it got really cursed, Because you would think the half-life of a nuclear bomb is probably, less than 1 million years, How bad could...
I think so. It does look wrecked. Let's say super wrecked is what Mars looks like. And so, yeah, it's even to the point where, you know what? Let's take that back. That's a little harsh. It looks fine. It's fine. It just needs a little TLC, a little tidying up. Mars will be fine.
A little planting here, a little garden there, little female touches here,
Yeah. Mars will be fine. Mars will be fine. No need to be harsh on our sister planet Mars there. The god of war, by the way.
The god of war. Oh, it's got that reputation. So, what are you going to do? God of war. It's not like the Garden of Eden. Like we have a different reputation here. And the other thing is, were they fighting each other, or were they fighting a different species? We're humans. I think aliens must look at us and go, I can't believe they kill each other. Like, I think they were fighting something else, like Sigourney Weaver and the alien. Like, that's an understandable, enemy of humans, right? But why are humans so stupid? We're fighting each other. It's kind of ridiculous, It would be something if, we were fighting monsters, or aliens, or, the Borg or whatever, Whether pick your monster, pick your enemy, but don't pick a human, don't pick an earthling. So, who knows who they were fighting, when they had their wars,
Got me?
I'm not saying nothing's justifiable, you should leave each other alone. Go back to your planet where you belong, or whatever, But I think as long as there's, I think there's some element in humans that's just competitive and aggressive. And maybe it was, the CRISPR technology on another planet that made them aggressive, and we can't get it out of us. Who knows? Going back to another topic. But, maybe we've been playing God too long.
And I think, as always, we say this a lot. There are consequences to that, to the hubris of humans. Yes, indeed. I appreciate it very much, Daryl. Thanks for hanging in there and staying and chiming back in. I appreciate you very much. Daryl here, YouTube channel. Link in the description. Give Daryl a follow. Sings in English and French, and of course has some stuff on Morgellons and some other paranormal stuff. Check it out. Got a good YouTube channel going over there, and you can also find her doing karaoke on the Troubled Minds Discord. TroubledMinds.org. Click the Discord link and come listen to Daryl sing. She does it a few times a week, and thank you very much, Daryl. You're the best. You are the best. Let's go back to James. You ready for the James Tro, my friend James?
I believe so.
All right, let's do it. Going to give you a little echo. Going to smash the music. Going to GTFO. We're going to get out of here. We're going to do this thing. Go put my feet up and relax. Hey, look. Sometimes there are curses, and other times there are not. But is it all in your mind? Makes me wonder. Also, I bring you James of Salcedo Paranormal.
Sometimes I think I understand everything. Then I regain consciousness.
There it is.
Bradbury.
There it is. Yeah, it's as simple as that, that I regain consciousness. All right, let's get the hell out of here. Thanks for hanging there with me, guys. Thanks for bailing me out, chipping in with all the calls and all the great chat. I appreciate each and every one of you very much. If you want to help the show, there are a number of ways, right? We do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. If you want to help, there's Patreon you can sign up to. There's, of course, Rockfin's probably the best value. You get not just the Troubled Minds premium stuff on demand. You get all the other stuff on Rockfin as well. Of course, you can sub up on Twitch. That's probably the worst way if you want to spend money because they take half of it. Thanks, Twitch. You're the best. But there's also ways where you can get Troubled Minds merch. If you go to troubledfans.com, there's a new hat that I got. This is the replacement hat of the one that was ducked up. And so I've got... What's that? So there you go. At troubledfans.com, you can find merchandise, hats, t-shirts, there's stickers, there's all kinds of stuff over there. Go check it out. If you dig the logo, you dig the swag, you dig the show. Or if you don't want to spend money and you want to help the show, there are other ways. You can spread the word. As always, right? Spending your time and energy here is the most important thing because that's what this is about. It's about sharing ideas. It's about getting together, asking questions. And there you go. So the other way is, of course, just listen to the podcast feed. You can find that on Spotify, iTunes, or anywhere you find your podcasts. It's completely free. There are some ads baked into there, and what you get is some good old-fashioned conversations, and there are 427 episodes on the podcast feed as of right this moment. A lot of good stuff there, so go check it out. If you listen to an old episode, you kick a few cents this way too, so thank you for doing that. There you go. Lots of ways to help if you want to help, and there we are. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Don't forget, all the friends of Troubled Minds, links in the description. I'll get Matt in Colorado added as well, his book. Check it out. Go give them a follow. Buy the Roberts book. Buy Matt's book. Matt's got some coupon codes for some free ones. But let's support the folks that help this show go round and round with all the amazing thoughts and questions and ideas. Links are all in the description down below. There's James is there, Daryl's there, Jennifer's there, Night Stalker's there, the Roberts, you name it, Tam Bam's there. So many great people. Algorithm. Again, if I name everybody, I'm going to leave somebody out, and I did. But you get it. Scroll down. Please give each and every one of these folks a follow. They're very kind people. And as we finish, thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night.